from the government, and I'm here to help.
Take a look, it's in a book.
Some members of the community use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda.
Let's watch. Figure it out.
God. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another great episode of the We Figured It Out podcast. I am one of your end of days best friends, my boy Matt. Busy. I'm Michael, and we have always the honorary Brandon Kroll. What's up, dude?
Thanks for having me back on the show, man. I was curious of where Matt was, and apparently the guy struck gold in an environment where all the fish in the sea are loaded with mercury, so good for him.
Oh, my goodness. The other day I said it too. We were doing a podcast, and I said, Slow Jam Sundays, bro. We got to shout out your girlfriend. So, Matt, you're with your lady. You're with us in spirit.
No, good for him, man. Good for him. It's I'm understanding the Proverbs thing is for good for the man that finds a fortunate woman and all that sort of virtuous woman. Hopefully that pans out for him in the long run. I told somebody I say this frequently, and I came up with this. I don't know. I think I was about a teenager, late teens, but I said I feel better leaving a funeral than I do leaving a wedding, because at a wedding I'm actually losing a friend. And that goes into a bit of a trope, is that unfortunately, and I'm not saying right now, I understand early phases, you kind of got to fan it out, but it comes to a certain point where it's like, listen, I want to go and have a guys' night, and I don't think that they realize that most women actually appreciate, go do your guys' night. I want to have something to talk to you about, because you do your own damn thing, and it's interesting because you're your own person. Whereas you hang around them and you put them on a pedestal all the time, they're just kind of like, listen, bro, go. Don't put me on a pedestal. It's nice when you're here first. And again, I got this from two ladies that were at a cafe that I frequented, and they were basically telling me point blank, like, yeah, we see exactly what you're talking about. I'm like, thank you for vindicating my assumption. Yes. I was like,
dude, I try to tell my son that, as you know, I have my older son, and I'm like, bro, you got to start making choices now what you do, because the women want somebody who's going to do something. They don't want somebody who's going to do nothing. And yeah, Matt's got, it's cool too, because they care about like Christ and things, and she sees like, hey, maybe this stuff good things do come from the Lord and whatnot too. So I think that's really cool, and somebody who cares. So
it can be a means of, because I was asked that one time in a chat if I'd ever consider dating somebody that's not a Christian. I was like, if they were at least open to having that conversation, or like, well, could you explain this to me? Could you explain that to me? And I'm not saying like be the dictating guy, but more of like, yeah, I can explain to you from a biblical perspective of what my suspicions and hunches are. What you do with that information is up to you. If you trust that enough and you want to settle down and start something, cool. But yeah, I would consider it, especially if they're unjib-jabbed.
yes. I was like,
but that's like
there's a couple more standards. Yeah.
Well, right, dude. And for me, it's like I when people are like, well, why that doesn't sound right because unequally yoked. It's like, yeah, at the same time, you got people like Ruth. Your God will be my God. Sometimes it's a tag on. Like, listen, I'll catch on to the ropes as I go with it through there with you. So, but yeah, that's where you gauge personalities and stuff like that, right? Like, I want you to love me for me. It's like, well, now I'm doing that, and apparently that's offensive to everybody. So,
yeah, we're trying here. How about we work? How about we work together? Yeah, no, it's cool that we started out like that too, because my wife gets it too. She's like, hey, man, you're kind of dumb sometimes. I'm kind of dumb sometimes, but our personalities click. And it's like
dumb plus dumb equals made for each other.
Exactly. Whoever said opposites attract doesn't know.
Dude, for real.
Don't let my wife see that, by the way.
I'm like a dog. I could wag my tail, but no one would ever believe me.
Exactly. So today, Magi, Mithraism, Maga.
Well, I got the order mixed up, but it's correct with the wordology. It's the Magi, the Magi, Maga, and Mithraism.
Okay.
Again, I have run this about almost a year ago. It was popular then when YouTube wasn't censoring me as much. I decided to rerun it because we just saw a recent thing in the in the headlines of Trump posing himself as Christ. So it does have a little bit of relevance. I was
I
talking to
like
you
that you
earlier.
say they're not censoring you as much recently. You mean because it's more,
No, they're
right?
censoring me more. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's what
mean,
I'm saying. Yeah,
at the
they're censoring you more
time,
now.
I was reaching at least over 1,000 and gaining some traction. Now all of a sudden, it's like I'm under 500 every single episode.
Yes.
And as you were showing me, again, folks, please, because this guy showed me visual proof that if you even post my face on TikTok, that's an automatic no-no.
Yes.
And even again, we're not even talking about topics that would be like, okay, I can see why they would say that, but no, it was literally just my face.
It was your
Um,
face, and I hashtagged you as Justin Bieber, and
really.
they said nope, you don't exist.
We know that well, there's another gal I do a show with in Hawaii, and she says every time she does an episode with me, it sinks in the algorithms now. And I used to get up to around the Gary Wayne viewing thing on her platform, which is like,
Yeah,
whoa, why is that? Yeah. So, anyways, that being said,
we're getting it out there, folks. Is what we're saying.
well, hitting shares, hitting likes, and writing nice comments for the algorithms always does help fuel this stuff, especially if you cannot afford to contribute, which I do
Absolutely.
understand, especially in this economy. Do not get me wrong. But you would be surprised, it's like, well, I can't do anything. I don't have a voice. I can't. Well, yes, you do. You could have a device. You can hit share. It doesn't matter really where, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, whatever. I don't know, playlists, it's something. You can do something. Send it in a text.
Yes. If this
Um,
is a beast system, like people think, we got to keep the malware viruses involved, right? The dude
well, dude,
sitting next to me. We got to keep
everybody's
you
complaining.
infiltrated.
Everyone's complaining about AI, and I'm like, well, Google was the infant AI. It's the same dang thing. But now it's basically evolving to getting its supreme point. And even us talking, we're talking on internet. What do you call it? Like an inter means place where two more corpse net. So we're basically talking on a dead Black Mirror device.
Yep.
But what does the Bible say? No weapon shall forged against thee shall prosper. So we are utilizing this for good to help reach other people. So, anyways, I'm
Absolutely.
going on as a rant.
It's okay.
I will bring up the presentation. I think I
Let's
have it. Yeah.
roll.
Okay.
I
Here's
love we had Cole rants the rant board on yesterday, so we're all about rants. He's pretty popular on Instagram right now. He has like a bunch of whiteboards that break down all these current events that go through. Man, it was good though. So don't worry. You know you're here to rant. We're here to rant. I always
yes.
say
Okay.
we're because I'm so used to Matt being here, but it's his one. It's his one. I love him.
There's a ghost. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna update this thumbnail because this was the best that they had at the time. It's gotten better over the last, I think, almost 2 years. I've almost did. I think last one I did this was Josh Monday. I don't even
Okay.
think I made it all the way through with him. And again, I moved some of this stuff way to the back because it's not as relevant to the topic at hand. But yeah, the Magi, Maga, and Mithraism. When I update the thumbnail, I'll send it your way. And for me, when we're talking about the Magi in the Bible, a lot of us just kind of gloss over the significance of that. I mean, the highest thing I think I've ever heard from a pulpit or a sermon-esque message. These are men that studied the scrolls in Babylon, and this is how they functioned, and they were able to realize that this is the one that we're looking for, and follow the star, and voila. And the rest is history. It's thrown in the gospel, and we don't really think much of it. For me, I found that interesting because I'm seeing a very spiritual mirroring here. How in the Talmud they'll call Christ the magician. And this is actually what they've been wanting, is wanting to have their magician come back. But again, it's like the classic every accusation is a confession. So
One of
now,
one of my best friends, who's a Jewish man who practices all the day, he says, "Dude, Jesus is a magician." He literally tells me that.
yeah.
Yep.
And it's like, so now we have a world that doesn't want the Messiah. They want to substitute it with the magician. And what is that? Well, talk a little bit into that. So, I think I've covered a little bit on Mithra before when we were talking kind of like the origins of America. You usually will see him in a pose with like a little cap, with a little knobbed cap that's tipped forward, Phrygian cap. And he's usually slaying the bull. The bull is supposed to be representing the god or the ego of man in order to ascend. So I'm just going to read these two passages. I think I got this from, I like to cite things so people can cross-reference it, and I can't seem to find it at the
Kill
moment.
the ego of man
Ah,
to ascend, or what is that? What does Christ say we should actually do? Die again is the
right.
real
Die,
truth, right? Not
die
kill
to
our
self.
ego. Yes.
And in part, like there's a philosopher by the name of Max Stirner. He does the ego and the self, and I think he's correct to an extent where we're not supposed to define ourselves, and this is my modern upgrade equivalent of what he's talking about. We're not supposed to define and regulate ourselves based off of an institution or an ideology like that's who I am. If you can take off those training wheels, whether it's the government or something like that, I don't need the government in order to live my life. Really? Oh, really? Now you're a threat. No, I'm just gonna be my own person. I don't need a president. I don't need a king. Why do I have to bow to a guy that wears a fancy gold
Yeah.
hat?
Keep your money. I don't need help.
Right. And this blows people's minds because he's saying that those are the spooks of society, or, the higher class. They tell you you need this, or this is what we respect, and, divine rule, God appointed them. And for us, we're over here going, yeah, yeah, we need to do that. And then the Christian should say, I don't need that. I don't need that. I'm going to put my faith in the Holy Spirit, leap of faith, and I'm just going to trust God to provide. So philosophically that makes sense, but like we see the children of Israel, God's like, yeah, rely on me. Don't need a king. But we want a king. We want to be like other nations. Oh my gosh. Do you see where this is going to go? You're going to create idols and then do this and then do that. Fine. They didn't betray you, Samuel. They betrayed me. If you want to go over to 1 Samuel 8 and read that. So yeah, that kind of mentality is exactly, as Christians, we should get to the point where we're saying, okay, I have cut off all the ties of the world, of the expectations of what the society expects. Now I'm available. Here I am, Lord, use me. And most people aren't even ready to do that, dude, because they can't even be controversial because they're afraid they're going to be put on a list on social media. So they hide
Mm-hmm.
behind social media pages, wear sunglasses, and they're afraid to get on shows like this and show their face because they really do not have the courage to stand up for Christ or to speak on behalf of what they believe in. Now, do not get me wrong. I do understand some of us are actually supposed to be laboring, and I think that in laboring, it would be nice if somebody went to go get a pitcher of water to help, keep the
Yes.
worker going, right? Or instead of just sitting there on the sidelines in sunglasses and your umbrella, a sippy cup, you're doing something. You're encouraging. You're writing an encouraging word, or you're making a meal on the side. There are those as well, but at the same time, I don't see people utilizing that. But you're right. I think people aren't confident enough to get to that point. Anyways, I believe these two pages are cited from Mithras by D. Jason Cooper, Mysteries and Initiation Rediscovered. I personally think that Mithraism is the best defined is like the early Freemason thing. What was that? What was that? Are you gonna freak everybody
it
out?
looked it looked like you did that when you moved through.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, it looked like you third-eyed when you said
No,
Mithraism.
no, I was holding it up for people. Sorry, and that's what you perceived. No,
I was like,
I'm just
all
saying
right.
that is So while the Catholic Church took the Sol Invictus route, the underground belly, you could say the Freemason influence, is Mithraism. And this is quite partially what Constantine's soldiers were quite fond of. And one of the symbols of Mithra was the cross. And it was according to lore, and you can look this up. Constantine had a vision, and it was a vision of a cross in the clouds. And basically, what he saw written on it was, in this symbol, go forth and conquer. Now, this is an exact antithesis of what Christ said in the Garden of Gethsemane after Peter offed an ear of a nearby servant. He says, he who lives by the sword dies by the sword. So that whole alleged story, I think it's bogus or it's demonic influence, because we should not be defining our faith based off of a symbol. It should be based off of our spirit and on our character by extension. Anyways, the
he
supremacy. Let's go
he
ahead.
gave a whole bloodline, cursed a whole bloodline that would be, cursed to the sword. Yeah, absolutely nothing you would
Yeah,
want for a bowl of soup.
yeah, for real, dude. I said it the other day. This is back in the day, someone cursed their whole bloodline, or they gave up their blessing for a bowl of soup, and today we had people that were doing the same thing for a donut and fries.
Mm-hmm.
So some
Same
things
same
really
thing.
never change. The
Anywho,
things we do
continue.
for food, anyways. We thought we were training animals. Look what they do to us, dude. Anyways, the supremacy of Mithra is also shown by an enormous number of names of kings, princes, and nobles containing the name of God. And this is not only in the later days, but also in the earliest of times. The conquering kings of Persia, and again, remember Cyrus was from there when we're speaking of him, and Trump is frequently being equated to Cyrus,
Iran.
established their religion wherever they carried their victorious arms, especially at Babylon, which became the winter residence of the great kings, was the magician cult established in great splendor. And again, I'm just going to pause for a brief second. The thing we've been DMing each other about, this other guy who doesn't want to do a debate because he's saying only Jesuits pull the strings. I'm going that a little bit further and saying, okay, I like to say crypto use founded Catholicism, right?
Mm-hmm.
And go a little bit further. What exactly is that hidden religion that goes all the way back to Babylon? Because again, he agrees with Alexander Hislop's Two Babylons that talks about Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz being the unholy trinity of Babel. Are you familiar enough with that?
Um, Probably. What's enough?
Probably.
It's never enough for you.
Again, it's for somebody if they want to go click and research it. So he
Yes.
agrees enough with that. What I do, and a lot of people are understanding, as I'm looking at their text or history, the anthropology of how people lived back then with their thought process of their religion, and I'm going, okay, compare it alongside the Bible. Why did they want to believe this? Why is it Satanism? Why did they want to follow these other deities? And he doesn't want to go that route, because if you do, then you're going to understand how the occult is thinking. So I'm not promoting New Age. I'm rather saying, okay, why is there such an appeal for the other side? What do they think they're going to get from this at the end of the day? So the Persian arms had laid low the temporal power that had previously reigned over the cities of Chaldea. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation. And the priests of the conquerors, the Magi, were established in the highest place as the representatives of the religion of the court. But the Iranian religion was not strong enough to resist the fascination of the ancient faith of the conquered that reached back, as it were, to the night of time, and preserved a science of the heavens that was far surpassed the knowledge of the followers of Mazda. So strong was this influence that centuries later in Rome, it was believed that the native land of Mithra lay on the banks of the Euphrates. Now, again, Euphrates I found very interesting because the Bible does say that what's going to dry up in the last days?
Euphrates.
In 2026, dude, if people want to do a Google image of River Euphrates, and you'll probably find it in Google Images. It was showing like 2020, 2021, how it's getting lower and lower and lower. In 26, dude, oh my gosh. They said 2040 it's probably going to be completely dried up, but the way it's looking right now,
Yeah, they've
I don't
unearthed
see
like
that.
tunnels under there, haven't they already? Like the water's so gone that they found like secret passageways for other trade
Yes,
that traveled through there.
whether it's tunnels and or they're finding caves, and allegedly they're hearing sounds emit from these caves. Now, if this is where the angels were locked up under the river Euphrates, as Enoch says, and again, people are going to say that's a pseudo book, it's not real. It is the only alleged historical book that might give an explanation of how angels got under the river Euphrates. So if you're
All right.
listening from that perspective and your pastor never bothered to talk about it for you, highly recommend that you bring that up.
It's in the Dead Sea
Perusal.
Scrolls, isn't it?
The book of Enoch.
I think the Book of Enoch, the things are also referenced in the Dead Sea Scrolls that are like
It's
2,000 years old. Yeah.
Enoch is referenced, yes, in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Mm-hmm.
Enoch itself, I think, is only Ethiopian Bible.
Yes. Yes,
I
absolutely.
think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be
There,
wrong.
the other Enoch is not the same Enoch that we know.
Yeah, there are two Enochs in the Bible. One is Enoch, the one that is descended from Cain. Then and that's where you get the Enochian language, which Heidi Love may have mentioned. I'm not sure if you've
Yep.
had her on the show.
Yeah.
with John D. That there's that,
Absolutely.
and then you have Enoch, who was actually righteous and was following God, and allegedly was the
Walked
guy
with
that
God.
experienced the stuff that we hear about in the Book of Enoch. Now,
Yes.
again, you could say it's wrong. You could say it's fan fiction. Second and third book of Enoch, I do think that they're not 100% accurate, but again, that's for people to dig in on their own time. And then what were they reading here? The Conquerors and stuff like that. There's a book, The Meaning of Cities by Jacques Ellul, and he's been breaking down a lot of this stuff like conquest and confiscation, as Albert J. Nock said, has always been the existence of the state. Ellul would say as well that the cities were all founded by Cain. It depends on life from the outside in order to live. It's like a vampire. Another life entity needs to come into the city in order for it to be alive. You build walls out of fear of others, right? Instead of love your neighbors, it's fear the other nations, right? And this is complete contrary to God's people. Welcome the stranger. We don't do that, right?
Yeah,
When we
that's
say
crazy.
love your neighbor, it's who is my legal neighbor, as
Yeah.
defined by the state, aka the Epstein class. So you right, this is where your conscience over law is like, does that sound right to you? If you're telling me, or Pharaoh passes an edict and says I have to give up my firstborn son and toss him to the crocodiles, do I say, you know what, my conscience says I'm not going to do that as the midwife. I'm going to preserve some life because this is of God. It's something given of God. Or am I going to be like, well, that's what Pharaoh said, and that's the legal legislation of the day, right? I don't think people know how to think like that, dude.
I
I
hope
keep saying divine rule.
I hope a cop out there is going to hear the last 1 minute of your rant. If there's a
Take a clip.
police officer out there, yes, I'm going to make it. They need to hear that. Right? Because there's some that just go, well, the law says here, you weren't stealing for diapers. You were thefting from a supermarket.
Dude, I just had an incident with some cops. Unfortunately, as every single time, they don't think with logic. I just enforce the law. And I'm over here going, what's the point of having a conversation with you? Because
What's
we
the
can't
point
even
then?
hash. Right. When I'm watching some of these other shows, I like Justified or something like that. I appreciate so once in a while they have some dialogue, and once in a while, you know what? I'm going to turn a blind eye. I didn't see anything. Why? At the end of the day, it's really a she said, he said, and let's hash this out. It's not necessarily cut and dry like I have to do it because the law says so. Once in a while, it is negotiable. You have to assess for the truth, and I don't think many cops know how to do that. It's just I have to enforce. I have to do this, and it's like I feel bad for you, man. And you think that uniform gives you a better advantage of being better than me? It's like no, it
Yeah.
doesn't. No, it
No,
doesn't. So,
no. You're supposed to
anyway.
have morality.
Right, right. The person who's supposed to uphold law should be one of the biggest purveyors and advocates for ethics and morals.
Yes.
And yet, when you try to hash that out with them, dude, you just got to obey what I say.
No, just
Well,
do what I
why?
say.
Because I'm daddy. No, you're not. You're not my daddy. You want to get arrested? Okay, fine,
Yeah,
fine.
sure.
You're not my daddy. Anyways, if you are unable to say that in Mesopotamia the religion of the Magi was entirely transformed, we can assert that it was absorbed so many new elements that it assumed an entirely new form. Now, when we are talking about the Talmud, when they were in captivity, this is what the religious leaders were going, my goodness, this is beautiful. This is the missing component. Once we left Egypt, we were missing some aspects of, how to make connections to the stars and do this and stuff like that. Like Ashtaroth, astronaut means red
Yep.
star. They worship Ashtaroth, right? Jeremiah 10:2, be not like the pagans who look to the stars. Stars were equated to being with angels back in the day. So yes, that whole concept, summoning a demon, a fallen angel entity of that sort is very much what they were big into.
In
So, but
Matthew 2, right? With the Magi, right? After, because you said Mazda and the Zoroastrian, right? And they're looking to the stars.
yes,
They literally show up in Matthew 2. And where is the one who has been born king of the Jews? We saw his star rose. They ask for it again.
yep. And again, when people are saying like, Brandon, how do you believe in that wormwood thing? If blah blah blah, that's what you're saying, and I'm like, I don't believe in it. Like I'm looking for it. Like that's my definiting factor. But we do have something of that mentioned in the Bible. So that, again, I'm looking for signs in the heavens of God stuff, not sign and wonders. I'm looking for like, okay, yeah, this is checking out. Okay, seeing this lining up. Doesn't mean I'm necessarily right. It just means we need to be wary and being spiritual, assessing the things, ponder the moments that are around us. I think is what a lot of Christians don't want to do because most of them go to church. Once saved, always saved. Wait for your rapture extraction. Come back next week. Thank you very much. And
Yeah.
that is, in essence, what we teach. It's a very dull and dry gospel.
And Trump's still alive. I feel
No,
like every church ends like that now. And go Trump. Just
it's
like, dude.
ridiculous, bro. It's so ridiculous. Anyways, the Mithraism that spread over the Roman world in the first 4 centuries of our era, though it was the strongest, was not the only stream from the same source that reached the Western world. And the post-Elixic Judaism was strongly tinged with Mazdaism in the form of Phariseeism. Though, again, this is why I keep telling people, I am not against ethnicities. I am against ideologies. That is where I always come into play. And everybody's like, well, we need to get rid of them and that will fix the problem. Okay, so get rid of an entire group of ethnicity, and you think mankind can't possibly replicate the same ideologies just with a different group or a different sect or a different leader, a different country? It's still going to always be there. That is, again, it's sin. Well, if we just if we sentence Christ to death, we get rid of the problem, the troublemaker. And what happens? He's got 11 other disciples that cause more problem. You know, it's like this is the pattern. You need to always
He
emphasize and address
Obi-Wan
the
Kenobi to
ideology.
every single one of them.
Yes, exactly. And if people, again, otherwise you make a martyr and a martyr, right? And again, that's why our character and testimony is so paramount to emphasize on, because people are looking at that as going, truly, this man was the Son of God, right? A Roman is seeing this, and I highly suspect that might have been Cornelius at the base of the cross. And 7 to 10 years later, maybe that's why he says, "Hey, Peter, come over to my freaking house. I want you to explain to me, what did I see that day? You were one of the guys, apparently that was his followers. It's taken me a couple of years to track you down. Would you please explain it to me?" And then he converts his entire household. Whoa. I don't know. Just a hunch. So anyways, though it is strongly disputed by some, the Pharisees may have owned their name to those doctrines they had partially absorbed. The Parashim may thus spell Persi, which is Persi in Hebrew transliteration. Even the as the and again it's P/squiggle RS and then E's does in India today.
Yeah, I don't know what language that is, but
It's a squiggle. But again, is it possible? Right? And again, they think they're better than everybody else. Well, I would highly suggest yes. As we'll keep on breaking down with some of the symbolism when he calls them a brood of vipers, maybe there's a little something to that, right? But not only were the Pharisees, who gradually became the national party, again, ideology, a group, collective. Every time there's a collective and not an assembly, we're letting the Holy Spirit dictate and assess. We have people that create politics, polis, based off of the Greek word for city. Hello, Matt. And ticks, meaning suckers. So you could say city suckers is what politics is. Did you bring your girlfriend with you?
Ooh, we were talking good. We were talking good on you. We were like, man, Matt won. He found a girl.
Yeah.
But is she going to stay?
Yeah, she's got to put up with me, so that's
He's
excellent,
a good
guy. Anyways, we're talking about the Magi, Maga, and Mithraism. Right now, we're talking a little bit about Mithraism and connecting it to Pharisees.
Persia. I just want to point out right now, he's bringing up old school Persia with Iran, and he just dropped ticks where they're fucking dropping ticks around the world. Sorry, I dropped an F-bomb. We're trying not to cuss, but they're dropping ticks around the world, right? We got Persia, which is Iran going on. Anyways, keep hitting it.
Gonna have to do so much editing with you. But But not only were the Pharisees, who gradually became the national party among the Jews, imbued with Mazdean ideas, but many schools of a mystic and Gnostic, which means knowledge, nature, arose in Syria and Arabia, who were more or less adherents to the magician traditions, Kabbalah, that's what the word traditions mean in Hebrew, or influenced by magician doctrines. Such schools formed one of the links between Jewish and Semitic Gnosticism knowledge on one hand and Christianized Gnosis on the other. And again, Christianized, you could say Catholicism, Freemasonry, New Age, that would be a branch of that. There's been, as I've been looking into early ecclesia church history, I'm like, wait a minute, that's modern day New Ageism. Like this has always been around, just different variations. It's like this is yeah. There's
Mhm.
always been different variations, but always pretty much the same premise. And it's like, well, okay, nothing new under the sun. It doesn't make us have to be freaked out. But if we can, as Christians, if we can oblige ourselves to go a little bit further past Martin Luther and look into other sources of the early church people past Paul, we might be able to fix some of the clues of what's going on today, because it'd be like, well, what were we supposed to be doing after Paul? A lot of Paul's stuff were reprimands and recommendations to how to form the community of the ecclesia, but
Mhm.
people weren't willing to keep on implementing it post that point. The people who have written stuff like that, well, when you take Satan's little season group, everything past 70 AD to 1776 just goes right out the window. It's like, well, okay, so what about Polycarp? What about him? He studied under John. Yeah, but he doesn't exist. Well, why would you say that? Because everything past 70 AD doesn't exist. Yeah, but he was about 21 or so when John wrote the book of Revelation in 90 AD. So
I was so happy when I brought up Satan's little season and you were like, hold on, let me just give you the math real quick. And you wrote like a 4 sentence paragraph. And I was like, all right, I'm not really interested in that anymore. I was like, that's
Hughes
not
Little
real.
Season. If you watch that episode breakdown, dude, I'm not trying to say there's nothing relevant there. The individual is probably going to be listening. And I'm not trying to bash and like be mocking. For me, it's more of like, if this is not a salvation based issue, why are we worrying so much over it? Yes, there's multiple flaws I can find, and you can hash it out and say, well, this, that, and the other thing. It's like we're going down a rabbit trail. Now we're starting to create religious sects as opposed to focusing to the salvation message. And if that's what it's starting to do, it's probably not of the spirit. Because even if he did leave and he's coming back, it's like we should still follow the note on the refrigerator door: is keep saving souls, right? The Great Commission. That's the last we have. Let's keep doing that. Why are we going to argue all this other trivial stuff? Anyways, it is remarked that Simon, whom the church fathers regarded as the earliest Gnostic heretic in Christendom, was surnamed the Magician, and the Great Announcement, which was principal document of the Simonian tradition, is filled with the magician doctrine. Moreover, the names of the aeons and a number of Christianized Gnostic systems are those of ethical abstractions, precisely as are the names of Amshaspans and the Avesta. I have no idea if I pronounced that correctly. um, so as I was saying, something I find interesting is the Magi, they looked to stars. And we have 5-pointed stars, 6-pointed stars, 8-pointed stars. The list goes on and on. And as I just said, the pentagram has also been used in ancient Chinese and Japanese religions to symbolize the 5 elements of life: fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. Now, I found it interesting. Sorry, early Christians used the pentagram to represent the Star of Bethlehem. I'm like, yeah, sounds very similar to the Star of Remphan. Um, Noticed anything what I said here? Did you notice you're kind of missing an element here? Fire, elements of life: fire, earth, metal, water, and wood.
We're missing one, or like we're missing that wood is being pointed out.
Yeah, wood, but it's like wood.
Yeah. Why
What
wouldn't that be part of Earth?
wouldn't that be air?
Wood as air?
right?
Probably more water
it's,
than anything at some
so,
point.
so
We all said something different.
where do we derive our oxygen from?
Okay. All right. Plants. O2, right?
Trees,
Photosynthesis.
right? We get something from trees.
So
And again, I'm
air,
trying to explain
gotcha,
what druids are
air,
thinking.
air.
There. All right.
Prince,
All
and
right.
then you have Satan, who is the prince of the power of the air. And when you look at the again, I can show the symbol as we keep going on. When you look at the symbol of as above, so below, the star Remphan is the conjoined triangles. The symbol for air is a pyramid with a slash through the top, so like the all-seeing eye.
Huh. I get what you're saying.
Allegedly, that the giants used to hang out among the groves where there was a lot of trees. And when they died, their spirits were imbued into said trees. Do you see where
Mhm.
druidism is coming into play here? So now you want to consult these deities and you bring down these cedar woods to help build the temple. So what spirit is really in that temple? The fallen slain giants or God's presence?
I know. What? It's like a goat coming down Mount Sinai.
Exactly. So
Or not.
again,
What was it? Not Sinai. I don't know.
when you're saying in the occult, let's go back to the ether. Well, ether, life, air, right? Stardust. What, the angel seed, you mean? This is kind of a little bit of an element that I find interesting because, again, Christ is the breath of life. He is the one that gives us life, tree of life. So if you start getting into the Hermetic Kabbalah tree of life, oh, it's a mystery. We don't really know where it comes from. You can make up anything you want. Whereas the other one is saying it's the creator. That's it at the end of the day. Are you sure? Yeah, he's the one that
Yeah.
gave the breath of life into Adam. He also gave us the second breath of life through Christ. It's not the cross that came back from the grave. It
In the
is
beginning, there was
Christ.
the word.
Yes, the word, and the word is what's able to re-resurrect you. In the beginning, again, was John. John was the closest to him. In the beginning was the word, and the word was God. John 1:14, Christ was the word of God made flesh. So if Satan killed God's word, and it came back in 3 days, what does that tell you? My heaven and earth will pass away, but my word, son, will never pass away. Because that
Yep.
is what gives you eternal life. The breath of God gives you life. So Satan is saying, I am air, I am oxygen, I am the ether. I can give you life through transhumanism, but I wouldn't want to be hooked up to Mr. Teaminator.
we the guy we talked to yesterday, he was pretty good at delving into how Epstein is into the biohacking and the consciousness and stuff like
Yes.
that. And he was really, and way back in the day, he made like a $40 million donation to Peter Thiel and Alex Karp before it was Palantir, but it was still, keystrokes and stuff. And his theory is kind of like, that's what they're doing. They know how to make exact replicas of you now. And Epstein had access to that and almost knew the conversation that he was going to have with Trump because they could create a Trump. It was your single keystroke and stuff. They knew the exact make it was, and he could have that conversation to blackmail before it was even met the person. And it's like,
Now,
that's weird.
why they have Disney on ice? Literally, Walt Disney is on ice, so that once they figure out the technology to bring people back. Now, here's the thing: if we have another pandemic, and let's say it's a nuclear fallout, people get rashes and boils on their bodies, and don't say the word. It's actually the results from what we got in our bodies from 2020. They just amped up the 5G towers, and people start, oh my gosh! Yes, there'll be an antidote. It'll be an AI jib jab this time, but you'll be putting in nano stuff, and you'll be getting AI into your body. Oh,
Do you
crap. So,
imagine?
right? And then again, the way you pay for thing, an eye for an eye, you will pay everything. We have an eye problem. You call you pupils in school. Money, mono eye, mono a, one eye. We have the one-eyed shepherd in Zechariah. You pay money to the iris. You say Siri backwards. It's iris again.
Oh,
Little
come
things
on.
like this.
Dude, do you always think like this?
Yes.
Okay.
This
Does
is
it
why I
hurt?
don't have a girlfriend, Matt.
Hey.
Well, touche.
So when people say, so what I was telling Michael earlier, when people say that like I don't really research something, I'm over here going, you sure about that? I research a lot. And again, it's not trying to understand esoteric and making that my life belief. It's like, these are what these nuts believe.
Right.
And for me, it ticks me off when I'm watching these, they do a late night talk show and stuff like that. I'm like, how can you live with yourself? Again, you're an actor, but you're acting, but you know the truth, or you know the other half of this. And everybody in the audience is laughing at you, but you are holding back.
Yeah.
It irks me beyond measure. And then I see these controlled opposition and stuff like you're holding back. You're not telling them the full truth. Why are you doing that? And it's like being a lawyer. It's like, this scumbag, you're getting, this guy did the murder. We got the proof, and you're defending him. So that's kind of what this feels like doing this particular realm. In Egyptian hieroglyphics, the star with a circle around it represents another world or spirit place. So like I said before, when we have the sigil of Astaroth, you can do a Google, you'll find out it's the pentagram. So if you want to go to another world, another realm, so when you watch this stuff in movies and stuff like that, yes, it's a spirit place. And then what are Christians or God's people instructed not to do? No divination.
That's why you got to stand in the pentagram if you're trying to do anything, because you're trying to go somewhere else.
And what do they give you for medals as soldiers? Isn't a lot of that stuff like you got a star?
Yeah, what's up with that, Matt? How come on the fucking... Oh, see, I did it
Matt
again.
didn't design it. But the thing is,
How
with
come,
Matt,
though?
and I appreciate people like himself, they can get out of the system and be like, in hindsight, it's kind of crappy. We were the bad guys. We hurt people, and I'm not happy about that. That I appreciate. Then there's other people I'm looking at going, dude, bragging about being a veteran is not exactly one of the best things these days. Like, you've been part of keeping the Epstein class going.
Yes, there's it's a double-edged sword nowadays, right? It's like we still needed it, though.
Well, do we need it? Because this is what the early church was saying is like, listen, one guy was writing his thing, and he's saying, because there's so many Christians coming into the empire of Rome, Rome is starting to collapse at the seams because you won't join Caesar's legions. And the guy retorted, he said, well, yeah, if more people became Christians, there would be no need for Caesar's legions. Boom.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you need those in soldiers, though, too, right?
Well, again, there's warriors and then there's soldiers. Soldiers, you're basically doing the legislation of a guy who sits behind a deck and make sure his kids never see the front lines of duty. Whereas a warrior, no, you're not hurting me and my family.
Yep.
What do you mean? You're not hurting me and my family. We have to go on a war party and
Paul was
get
a warrior.
Yeah, for hurting my family or somebody in my tribe.
Marines aren't soldiers. Sailors aren't soldiers. Coast Guard aren't soldiers.
Matt's
so
we're
just picking on the army directly. I mean,
no, I'm saying that the concept is that you're serving the government over God. And again, if you're a Christian soldier,
but you can be a warrior, can't you?
That's what I'm advocating.
Yeah.
I totally advocate warrior, but I'm against the concept of soldier. Soldier, soul. Again, you could say this is pseudo etymology, but sold is the first 4 letters. So, soul means sun god. Dyer, D-I-E-R, means one who is destined to die. So, sun god, one who is destined to die for a sun god. Whereas a warrior, it's like, listen, I understand there's a necessity, there's a time for war, there's a time for love, as we get in Ecclesiastes and stuff like that. That's kind of what I'm stating is like there's a reason and incentive on your own personal merit and decision. I have to defend my loved one, or you come into my place, I got to just, there is a certain ethics where you are running a moral process code of why you're doing it. The other one is saying you got to do it because you signed a piece of paper and this guy behind the desk passed some legislation and says you have to go overseas and go and, hurt somebody else's kids.
Yeah. And furthermore, like this was before the time like we were actually looking into things and we were actually believing our government too when we went to those wars, right? So like, I mean, yeah, you're a veteran, and I mean, I don't ever take that away from anybody in the slightest bit, and I think it's a little cowardly to do so. I mean,
because everybody put it out there.
You're doing the
sacrifice
government's work, but at that time, it was the right thing for us to do. In our eyes as a people.
And again, in that time, that's always what I respect is that if you can evolve past that point, like right now when I see a lot of veterans protesting in the Capitol, I'm loving that. Why? Because you guys have a right to say something because you fought and you were lied to.
Our voice carries.
Right. it should carry a little bit more weight because it's like, listen, you trained me to do a job, and now I'm not even getting being respected for VA benefits and all this other stuff, or homeless vets are getting arrested on the street.
Right.
Like, really? This is
Mhm.
this is how you're going to treat people that decided to
Mhm.
serve you? Again, if you're thinking servant master, this is how you treat your servants.
Right.
I
And
totally
then again,
see that though. It's like it's the same reason, I'm gonna hop out and say street fight somebody, at some random point. It's maybe I'm not right in the time or whatever I did, but what I knew in that exact moment, is right for what's going on.
right.
Right?
Well, again, somebody
In hindsight,
takes,
everything's like, well, maybe I
Everything's
wasn't
2020.
right at the time, like
You know what though, Matt? We need motherfucker. If there's not motherfuckers
Michael,
like you out there
you
kicking
just
in
got
the
us.
door,
This whole thing's bleeped. Don't worry.
is it going to be like one flatline with all?
I've gotten pretty good at editing. I'll send it with the F bombs out. My bad. That's how I talk. I can't help it.
No, and again, this is I'm just saying for the preface, as long as somebody can come to the point, and this is like a Christian, I acknowledge and I've confessed with my mouth that I did wrong. There's a certain guy, I think it was Julianus, was his name, or Julianus. He was a centurion or something like that in the Roman legions about 2nd or 3rd century. I think this is
Those the
military
gay ones?
martyrs.
I
Yeah.
hope it was Julianus, and I would not want to be Julianus.
I mean, they kind of were if he was like.
Again, is a U.S.
It
or
depends which
IAS,
side
I
of
can't
Rome he
remember.
was
So
on.
I'm just trying to give his story. But he was serving for about 20 years, and eventually he came to the conclusion. He's like, "Wait a minute, I'm serving 2 kingdoms here. You can put me to death." And the guy's like, "Okay, well, you're like again, the equivalent of back then. You're this close to collecting your pension. One more sacrifice to the emperor, one more this, and then I'll basically tell them I forced you to do it, and you're good to go. No, you have to execute me." But dude, do you hear what you're saying? You're going to be giving up all this after almost 20 years of service for us. Why would you be doing this? Because I have a conscience. I can't go another day doing this now that I know the truth. And they did eventually execute him. For me, I'm reading this story going, dang, would I have the courage to do that? Like, I'm this close to retirement and accepting man's riches, but you know what? My conscience wins out over that's what everybody else expects of me. That
You,
speaks volumes, dude. I'm reading this like this guy, I respect him because he stood by principles of his faith rather than the propriety of what society was telling him to do. That's where
he still went through the whole thing and waited till he was done to be like, all right, yeah, don't give me nothing.
Well, right, because he was confronted. He was convicted and confronted,
Okay.
and
Point.
he's like, you know what? This ain't for me. Go ahead. You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
I do respect that. I do respect that.
Again, what we see in the movies, and can you see that in real life? There's certain things where it's like, dude, this is movie stuff. Like, you're willing to die this close to the finish line over your personal convictions. And again, that's where it's like the warrior is like, listen, dude, you're really what? You're willing to travel 500 miles to avenge your village that got massacred? Why? Because it is morally ethical for me to do that. Right, again, you could argue as a Christian, God will avenge, vengeance is his. True. But there's also a little bit of a thing like you took advantage of my daughter before you murdered her. You also did this, that, and the other thing. I don't know.
There's still the law of honor.
Right. There's like, I'm at least going to confront you one way or another. I don't know. I think there's a little bit of a benefit for that.
As much as violence is bad, like, I mean, it's the only answer for violent men is more violence. That's really what it is. I mean,
true. Or they respect. It's like the bully effect, though.
It is.
Once you beat up the bully's like, crap, I respect you.
Yeah. It's just a bigger game of that.
Is he no longer a bully though? He's no longer bullying.
No longer a bully,
you.
But it's like, dude, it's like horses in the wild as well, or any species. You have male against male, and one's fighting for the dominance, and they're asserting said dominance through muscular confrontation of locking horns, butting their freaking antlers together or something. They're always asserting dominance of who has the right to the territory, basically. And to an extent, yeah, that's what women are looking for. Again, if you want to get into the spiritual primal aspect of things, they are looking for a guy that has an incentive and a desire to want to do something with his life. I don't care if he's a mechanic. I don't care if he's a plumber. I don't care if he's a writer. I want him to be the best he can be in his field. I want other men to look up with him and respect, so I know that he's worth my time. Because if other men are
Absolutely.
looking up to him, that means people respect him. If they respect him, that is somebody I can stand by his side. Again, we're thinking both, again, the spiritual sense, and then there's also the, I don't know, is that Darwinism, evolutionary? I don't want to say full Darwinism, but the concept of what species do with each other, right? There is a little bit of truth in that. That sometimes, yes, the strongest will survive. However, as a Christian, there's that principle of once you've made it, you don't push other people down. You try to say, hey, I can help you up. Silver and gold have I none, but such as I have, I will give.
Yep. You show
Whoa,
them.
why are you doing that for me? You're better than me. You have more money. You have more success. Yeah, but just because I have it doesn't mean I have to be a jerk.
Yeah. No, I have Christ, right? I have Christ.
Right. And Christ is what breaks that barrier, and it throws everybody's head for a loop because, like, why are you hanging out with the publicans and sinners? You got a problem with that? Well, I don't do it. Yeah, that's why I'm doing it, because I actually live what I say.
That's good.
So, stuff of that effect. Anyways, it's good we're having these side tangents. I think people do appreciate it. If not, feel free to write it in the comments. If you do like it, write it in the comments. Help fuel the algorithm.
Yes.
So anyways, Halo was inherited by Christianity from the ancient Egypt, who worship the sun. For all the gods of the peoples are worthless. Psalm 96:5, like I just said, the halo, the circle. So is the halo supposed to be a semi-equivalent of that circle around the pentagram and going into a spiritual realm? I think it is, because a lot of deities seem to be equating this portal effect, this circle effect, to be going through something, right, in order to achieve what? A higher self. So the God King, a golden crown, a heliocentric crown. If I have this, that means my mind is connected to the divine, so therefore he speaks directly to me. Think of crowns like that. Oh, I'm wearing this device. That means God speaks to me.
Yeah,
I have the right to rule. Nah, 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 nah.
Ah, that's weird to put it that way, though. It's very, like, almost childish the way you just said it, but that's how fucking there it is again. That's how straight and easy that is.
Sensor, it helps you find those things like a lying chart detector.
My brother's a really good programmer and coder. He develops AIs too. I should be like, dude, can you sift out my cuss words?
I'm just gonna make a shot collar that finds
Like, it
passwords.
censors you and it puts little butterflies or flowers, or whatever, every time you say it.
When I give you a necklace as a gift, you know what it is.
All right.
But anyway, this is in part, if people, again, I like learning into the anthropology and again, that's a study of people, why people did the things they did. So for instance, when they're wearing the jester's hat, it's supposed to be a mockery of the crown. So looking even into that, just going, okay, so this is how they think. This is how I should be processing in a modern interpretation with a Christian lens. Spiritually, do I really want to be putting that on my head? Not really. Now, going to cast that crown before God. Why? Because if the word of God didn't exist, you wouldn't be here.
Yes.
So it's giving that acknowledgement, saying, you know what, this is nice and all, but you're ultimately worthy. You're the thing that gave me life to even have a chance to put something on my head.
Even if
so they
it's
worship
a little
the sun,
hat, right?
Even if it's a little hat, that's
Even
right.
If it's a little hat.
The little hat,
the little hat man. There's a little hat man.
There's hats and then there's crowns, and I think it's just the whole concept of like the heliocentricism. He rides his chariot from east to west. It's the same premise that I think a lot of people, they don't think about that. For them, it's part of the spooks or the ghosts that Sterner would be referring to, saying that, because he wears fancy robes and he wears that crown and stuff like that, he's got to be better than me. He's got to be smarter than me. And do you not kind of see what they do in the Superman movies too, or superhero movies?
A courtroom, even.
Yeah, like, I mean, yeah, if I throw on
They
a
wear
suit
an
and tie,
outfit.
people are going to take me more serious, right?
No, you're exactly right. Yeah.
They wear an
make
outfit.
the
They wear a
superhero
uniform.
look all good.
They are
yeah.
identified with their mask and or their, Captain America, his shield, Thor, his hammer. You identify your hero with something of materialism. Same thing they're doing now with Christ. But that's the irony, because that's what exactly the whole concept of what he was talking with Nicodemus. That which is of flesh is flesh. That which is of spirit is spirit. What, so I have to go back in my mom's womb? No, 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 dear boy. Spiritually, you don't need to define yourself through physical, tangible things in material world. And that's what Christians unfortunately have done. They now worship the emblem of the cross and the altar rather than emulating the message and the sacrifice of the Savior.
Yeah, we've
So,
talked about how Brandon's made me feel bad about my cross on my neck, Matt, if you haven't noticed.
hey, I can only bring the news. I just hope people would actually start, implementing change on their
It's
own or research further what I've said, because again, you could just, hogwash, shrug it off, and they never do anything. But that's also where it hurts me a little bit, because I'm giving you enough for your own perusal to do your own research. I'm suggesting the resources, and as a Christian, I'm hoping that conviction will take you the rest of the way. I don't force you. That's between you and God. It's like the prophets. I can only warn you. You're hurting him. If you don't stop, something bad might happen to you.
It makes
All right,
sense,
we're gonna
though.
take you out because you're speaking on his behalf.
Yeah, right.
It's like, okay, kill the messenger. All right, say.
Just telling you what's in the book, man. I'm giving you a synopsis.
It's all too often, though. They will kill the messenger.
Well, again, Matt, for me, that's what irks me, and what you just said. Picture that in real time before the book of, like, any book from one of the prophets is written by Samuel, let's say. Before it's even written, they're living it in the moment. We're saying, oh, that's Satanism, or this is worshiping a pagan deity. Yeah, says who? Says him. All right, if you say so. Now what I'm doing, I'm going back and finding out, okay, if they're condemning that, what exactly was the other side doing? What exactly was those practices? And now I'm showing it. We're still doing it in a modern equivalency. And then they're saying to me, oh, yeah, well, that's not true. That's your opinion. Are you? I'm like, I'm literally reading their books on the topic. I'm literally going through the history, the anthropology, and the sociology of why they did that. And you're over here saying it's my opinion? I went to the other side, and now you're mad.
No,
Because I
you
asked the
said
other
that.
side what exactly they believed. It's just say you can't get any fairer than that.
It almost sounds like a girlfriend.
Yeah, they change the narrative after you break up. The story becomes whatever they work it as. Watch yourself, Matt. Watch yourself. Dangerous world out there, my friend. You could be thinking you're dating a goldfish and it ends up being a shark.
I think I found a good one for once.
Yes.
For once.
For once.
Anyways, so again, they're worshiping sun god, and again, we see Israel constantly is emulating what they're doing in Egypt. We get to Ezekiel chapter 8. This is Ezekiel having a vision. Ezekiel had a lot of end times visions as well. So I think it's chapter 37 and 38 for Revelation, right? Gog and Magog. I think it was those two. Forgive me if I'm wrong.
The Great Wars. No, you're right.
Okay. And he brought me into the inner court of the temple. And behold, at the door of the temple between the porch and the altar were about 25 men with their backs toward the temple and their faces toward the east, and they worshiped the sun towards the east. And what were they worshiping? Well, it says just a couple verses prior after this that the women were weeping for Tammuz. Tammuz was an equivalent of Nimrod's son, Hermes.
His great hunt, right? He's a great hunter.
Yes.
He died. What? Tammuz died in a hunt. There we go.
Tammuz was the magician.
There we go. I know
it's the best way that I can define it.
Yeah, what you had touched on earlier, right? It's like the three Antichrist doppelgangers. Almost.
Correct.
Yes.
And I personally, so you know how they put that goo stuff on them when they're in Hollywood, that black gooey substance, so you see them in some of their photo ops, whatever they're doing?
Oh yeah,
I personally suspect that Nimrod and the whole family, that they allowed deities to enter them, and then they continued their legacy as proxy humans, right? But I'm indwelled with the divine being, aka a fallen angel. Yeah. So when we read the mythology, some of it's like, okay, maybe that was the actual deity, because I really can't see Nimrod or Tammuz or whatever doing all this other stuff. And then some of it is embellished, right? Because people have to make up this great thing. So a lot of stuff, like even with Thor and Odin, eventually, I think it was Odin, hung himself from a tree for like 3 days and nights, and this came after post-Christ, because they're like, well, that's pretty baller. Oh, what if we could get our guy to do something like that, and then even top that, right? And again, this is their equivalency of thinking. That same thing with Thor's hammer. a lot of the Vikings would like, again, you counter somebody different, they'd be like, "Is that Thor's hammer?" Yes, but it's actually a cross. But they could have changed it to be whatever it needed to be at the time. So the same concept here. Again, don't take my word for it. This is from pcg.church, and there's a couple other articles. Britannica. I don't think that one crosses the. Anyways, the symbol of the pagan god was the cross of Tammuz. It was an ancient Chaldean symbol. I think this is part of Alexander Hislop's Two Babylons, and he's explaining how the cross does connect to that. I think that book's about 15, if you're interested in buying it from Amazon just for your own perusal. That with Babylon Religion by Chick. He does Chick tracks. You might have seen them. They're like yay big, about, I don't know, 15, 20 something pages.
I do know what you're talking about. Yep.
The Babylon Religion is a good book if you're kind of like, okay, a lot of the stuff Brandon's talking about, I don't understand. You want a little bit like a small comic version. I think it's about 80 to 100 pages. Very easy to understand if you want to kind of peruse it with your kids and be like, okay, so all this big stuff, this is what we have to focus on so we understand modern things, right? I can't recommend literature enough for people if they're trying to inform, basically, understanding the pagan concept of these things. So what is the spiritual significance of Tammuz? Tammuz in the Mesopotamian religion, god of fertility, embodying the powers of the new life in the nature in the spring. The name Tammuz seems to have been derived from the Akkadian form of Tammuzi, based on early Sumerian Dumazid, the flawless young, which is later the standard Sumerian, became Dumuzid or Dumazi. In the ancient ritual of Tammuz, again, the women weeping for him, I found this interesting. The palm is crystallized as a victim god, the martyr resurrector. Interesting. And in today's tradition, it is represented as the symbol of fertility, the cycle of death, nature's tradition.
Like Palm Sunday? Yeah, what's up with that? And why is it always fertility, too?
So, again, if you ever seen the Egyptian Ankh?
Yes. Yeah, the symbol.
Kind of like a cross?
Yeah, with the round top.
So, you have Nimrod is one half of the cross, and then you have the little Ankh, which is the woman, right? Unless a man be born again. You have the woman, which represents Semiramis, then you have the other half, which is Tammuz. So life is reborn again and comes out through the other side. That is what that symbolized. Again, people saying like, that's not true. My grandmother's from Africa. You can read all that. What I'm trying to break down is the mere concept. And the pagan thinking is that this rebirth cycle, regeneration, reincarnation. So Nimrod died. Oh my gosh, what happened? When are we ever going to get him back? You create the phallic symbol or the Christmas tree. His spirit, his essence, is now imbued in the tree, and now we're going to bring the grows into Ashtaroth of Baal. We're going to bring them down from the high places and into our homes. And then we're going to put what on top of them? A star or an angel. Like I said, ancient Hebrew lore, angels were known as star walkers. Or stars. There's an equivalency there. And stars were equated with crowns and royalty, deities. So the God King thing, yeah.
It's totally, the Ankh is totally the way you describe it, and you look it up with the Tammuz stuff, is totally a cross and jizz. You're right. It's a nut. It's a sperm. That's literally birthing on the top of it. That's what that looks like. Now that you point out.
You put things.
I know, sorry.
But yes, in essence. And again, feel free to write all your grumpy complaints in the comment section. I'll neatly organize them in the trash.
We need me. We
need both you.
Comment
Sometimes
on
that
Michael's
bluntness helps.
Thesaurus of semen.
Okay, we're gonna need to edit that out too. I hope you're making timestamps because you're gonna be a busy boy.
I will be.
We have ladies that are present. No, and I also sometimes I have kids listening too, apparently, to one of the mothers, and I appreciate that, but I just want to make sure that I'm trying to keep it censored as much as possible. Anyways, both ceremonies are held on the 1st of Farvarden and the Ordebeshit. And I'm not trying to say shit at the end. It's just SHT. So I'm not sure how the. Anyways, Tammuz has been based on fertility. Um, Something else that I found interesting: the month of Tammuz, when we originally had the 13-month calendar, and you could actually clock a woman's cycle because it was based on the 13th month and the moon.
That
Yeah,
would be so helpful.
right. So apparently, when they based that, we had the month of Tammuz. The month of Tammuz was at the same time that you had the day of Pentecostal.
Brandon, let's get crazy right now. You want to
Uh-oh.
know what the Order Bashet is?
The what? The
It's
what?
yeah, the you
Oh,
didn't
what I
mean to
just pronounced or
yeah, you didn't mean
butchered?
to curse at the end. It's the
Yeah.
second month of the solar Hijri calendar, and it's actually happening right now. And it
Yes.
follows the Favardian, which precedes Kordad. So how crazy that you're bringing up literally April 21st to May 21st. So you're dead on. It's the second month of spring associated with beautiful, blooming Iranian weather.
Mhm.
Why? What are we really interested in right now, too? Iran.
Yeah.
Again, Brandon, on the point.
Again, it's because I bothered to look into what they believe. So whether or not it's true, again, testing the spirits. That's why I always recommend to people: is you assess, you look at what the news headlines say. Again, you don't have to listen to the news. I'm saying you just see, peruse. Like, I heard a headline. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, maybe there's something there. Okay, like Trump allegedly, people are saying he didn't, but I got a clip where he did that creepy voiceover thing with the AI and alleged like shit, whatever he said in his again,
The weird,
if I
yeah.
typed it incorrectly, what popped up for my Google thing when I voiced it into there, as best as I could pronounce, was basically something from Aramaic. And it was referring to, I can't remember exactly all that at this time, but I wrote it all out in the inscription.
I
And it
thought
was
so.
referring to Iran again. Same thing when Charlie Kirk was on tour. You had the Ameri Lightning Bolt can tour. When you say Ameri, I think it was in Aramaic and stuff like that. It means the prince, and then can come back to her.
Looking into this
What
more
prince?
too, the name origin of this is derived from the Zoroastrianism, which, if nobody's picked that up yet, that's exactly what you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what it means? The best truth. What does Trump's think? Truth social. Come on, dude.
And what did
Why
they ask
is
Christ?
yeah, right?
So, dude, this is again. I respectfully, I love her much. She doesn't support her, but there's times where I'm looking at her like, I don't think we have another 15, 20 years. The gas prices are going up. The freaking food is going up. The social world, I'm pretty sure, Matt, you're probably grateful that you're finding something. Hopefully,
Wages
it's pretty.
aren't going up though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's again for a bucket of what's it, KFC that I saw the other day. It was almost a full day's pay. I think it was getting up to be a full day's pay. I was like, isn't doesn't it say the Bible say almost like a loaf of bread will be a full day's pay? Now, granted,
Yeah.
we have to understand the upgrade of modern food equivalencies, but I was like, that shouldn't be that much for a bucket of
Dude,
chicken.
when I value my time in the drive I went to get there, the time away from my family, things like that, and then I got to go spend $40 on an 8 piece of chicken.
Yep,
Yeah, I dang near almost spent my whole day's $200 pay or whatever.
right.
Yeah,
Thank you for putting that in an analogy perspective. This is where I'm
yeah.
saying to people, like, I know you may not see it, but even the thing, it says the Antichrist is given a crown. Well, either one or the other. Trump was given the crown of Jerusalem, which is pretty high, and then you also get the corona, which means crown.
Brown.
So either or, it's like, I don't know. Is there something there? They're calling him Cyrus, and again, what I said, the flawless young. How is that's equated with Tammuz? Who Trump has name etymology to. I'm going to show a little bit more why that's significant when he poses himself as the doctor. Again, Tammuz, this is allegedly what some of the Babylonian hieroglyphics depicted as. You see anything similar with that Pope hat? Looks
It's
like
a
that
fish
Dagon
head.
worshiping. Yeah, that
Hmm.
Dagon, the one where they brought the Ark of the Covenant into the temple because they let it. The Philistines captured it. And they're like, "Oh crap! It tipped over the statue of Dagon. Send it back in the
What's up with
wagon.
the
We're getting a plague."
star too?
Star Remphan right on the hat.
I know. You're literally not supposed to look to the stars.
Uh-huh.
And
It's
he
like,
wants you to look him in his face while he's wearing a star.
dude, on top of that, like you have a what was that supposed, why is it open? Why you open that? That's just a weird freaking thing. And again, this is where someone like ourselves would say, okay, why are you wearing that stupid hat? It's holy. Who says it's holy? Who said it's sacred? Where is it in the Bible? Wait, oh, it's a pagan deity. Okay, maybe you shouldn't be wearing. No, it's of God. Are you sure? Yeah, or I'm gonna kill you and burn you at the cross. Okay. Just asking questions. You're speaking Latin and wearing funny clothes and hats, and I think I'm gonna
Take
be executed by the Spanish Inquisition for asking too many questions.
take that almost sounds like take the deal on the straight, or I'm gonna wipe out a whole civilization, right? What are we
Mm-hmm.
doing?
Well, again, he knows what Trump's doing, right? I saw a clip on this the other day. It says the end game for all of this. He's taken over Venezuela, which is a nice choke point for trade routes. He wants to take over the choke point over there. Why? Because it's also giving them more time to build the Ben Gurion Canal and supersede the Suez Canal until that's all settled. And then he also takes over making deals in Indonesia. So he takes over those three top points. He's already got China forcing them to come to America to ask for resources. And then he
Yeah.
also wants to take over Greenland. You've got all the shipping routes, the trade routes. And what did I say Tammuz is an equivalent of? Hermes, the god of trade. And
Trade.
what fell on 9/11? The World Trade Center. Tariff wars, which is a form of trade. Like,
I
again,
I can't decide if this is an occult playbook or if we're in a simulation. Like
it's,
I'm
dude,
so
it's an occult playbook, but again, the simulation is to make us kind of, again, as Christians, like, you're so confused. Are you going to choose me, or are you going to believe what you see? Well, I know magicians are really good with hand tricks and stuff like that, so maybe I'm going to trust God over you. But they want it at a point where you're kind of like, again, I got this lady, she's still DMing me about, oh, look, they're going to rededicate America back to God. I'm like, yeah, Satan. Um, and then she was sending me like, oh, Islam is the bad nation that's very violent or whatever, the religion. And I'm like, and the Christians aren't? Or I'm saying Catholicism. I was like, do you have a cross in your bio? Do you know how many people have died? Is that the last symbol that they saw before they went to meet their maker?
at
It's just
this point we're corrupted humans who are violent, I believe. You know,
ideologies,
it's
not
gone.
ethnicities.
It's gone. You know,
Yes.
there is no nothing in between. We've been blown. We're corrupted. We're done for, you know?
Again, that's why the only thing you got is Christ at the
Christ.
end of the
Yeah.
day. Because why would I want to join this, that thing, or the other thing? It's like, I want to love my neighbor. I don't want to, again, nation will rise up against nation. How is that possible for a Christian if you're already loving everybody as your neighbor? Oh, wait a minute. It's because I'm not part of the nations of
Yeah,
this earth.
because
Because
I
according to
didn't.
Philippians 3:20, my citizenship is in heaven. The minute I come up from that baptism, I have renounced citizenship of earth. I am now a celestial ambassador recruiting souls for eternity behind enemy
This
lines. That is
this
my
what
mission and purpose.
this earth will burn and be born anew.
Again, I've said it to people, and they're kind of like, I don't know, man. I was like, your flag is not going to be in eternity. Your uniform, your medals, not going to be up there in the marriage feast. They're not going to be having a special area, memorial area, to look at all your cool stuff that you gained from serving an empire. It's literally going to be, I open up the Lamb's Book of Life, your name's in there, and what did you do for me?
Yep.
I said libtard. I win. Okay. When I couldn't understand the argument, I said
MAGA
libtard.
baby. MAGA.
Pretty much. And by the way, when we looked up that last time, Agum, when you say it backwards, like temple builders was one of the things. Can't remember what all the other ones definitions were. Again, Tammuz is familiar with pine cones, pineal gland, right? And you saw the star of Baphomet located in that third eye, as you just said earlier. Don't need to go in full detail. You guys know pretty much most of this. The Apis bull. Just seeing that, yes, there's a correlation between putting crowns on things, and we're getting a lot of this symbolism from Isis Horus, sucking at the teat. You guys watch The Boys?
Yeah. Yeah.
Homelander is supposed to be an analog towards Trump. And remember that scene where what's his face Homelander was sucking on the teat of Starlight.
Okay.
You see, dude, I was like, that's what we got still going on. We got dispensational again. You're sucking on the teat of the whore of Babylon because you don't know how to grow up on your own. Now you have the beast of the sea and the beast of the dry land in Revelation. What is usually dictated by the laws of the land? Who rules that? It would be something that begins with a G.
The government.
Yes, and all of our forms of economy are usually equated with aquatic terminology. Drowning in debt, currency, right? Banks of a river, banks of an ocean, beast of the sea.
Cash flow.
Your government is not going to operate and run unless it has what? Currency. And the slaves need to give me your life energy, right? I worked, usury. This is ultimately what that money is. I need to give you my life energy, the thing that I've earned, and put it in the system. Voting, I need to give you my life energy and put it in the system that I believe in. Government, govern, to guide or control, meant mind control. Again, when they say the beast system, control is again, maybe it's not just numbers, it's also what you do with your hand and what you think with your thoughts. So that's equated with all of this. So, like I was saying before, when he calls them a brood of vipers, and he's connecting with Mazdaism, with the Pharisees. In ancient Egypt, we have the uraeus, the staff of Osiris. Osiris is an equivalent of Nimrod. Present day, you might see a caduceus staff on a lot of medical symbols. In ancient India, which they just said, Parse, or possibly a variation of Pharisee, is the Kundalini. The uraeus in ancient Egypt, or Kundalini in ancient India, represents the medical caduceus, two serpents spiraling 7 times up a pole until they reach the top, which point that they have wings and take flight. Dr. Edward Bynum.
It's weird that we choose that too for pharmacy, when like the story behind it, is the 2 serpents from a stick the serpents that he turned, the stick that he turns into serpents and then challenges, right, to stop it and all that.
Yeah, with Moses, that's an equivalent. Again,
right? It makes it like
why was
trickery.
that the first why was that the first miracle to combat the magician's tricks?
Yes. But now we're using it. So what are they, magicians? What are they tricking us with it?
Again, do you know what the star? Sorry, I'll save that for later.
It's like I wouldn't wear 666 on my shirt and go, no, I'm not for Satan.
Right.
It's just a shirt. It's like, well, why are you doing it?
That's what I'm saying, dude. For me, again, for a lot of people are saying like, oh, you have this in your donation thing. You have that. It's like we're living in a Masonic world. Anything at a certain point, I can make occultic. Because we're trying to define celestial, spiritual things in a very dumb, best way that we can define it. So we need to have numbers, we need to have letters, we need to have this, so we can understand that. And even then, we're only using like what, 1/10 of our brain power. You ever watch the movie Lucifer?
Yes, and it's all made for
occult. Yes.
That's what you're prepped for. That we had this talk today. I'm like, I literally believe they just keep it the way it is so that you can't get to anything bigger than that, like you're taught in a system. It's all spelling is spells, the wordplay, the occultism, the symbolism of everything, and it keeps you stuck right to here, even though, at 10% or whatever we want to call it, it's them doing it.
Or they do the other 3 things. You're a conspiracy theorist, which isolates you from a group of trying to get out there. They project or they gaslight you and making you think that you're crazy. Like, again, what I just, not saying that Matt did, but he's over here like, you always think like this? Yeah, that's why I can't have an average conversation of coffee with somebody without them raising eyebrows going, all right, bro, you say so.
No, I'm glad that you always think like that.
Sure. Some people do appreciate it, but the average person today, unless they're even semi-awake, they're just going to be like, that's pseudo-etymology. Or you're making that up. Like I did a debate with the agnostic is what I call him. And post the debate in a text, because he didn't want to talk to me the next day, basically saying I was doing a lot of dot connecting, saying the Masons connect with Darwin, and Darwin connects to the word agnostic because his
Oh, so you did
assistant.
your research?
Oh yeah, I did my research and I based it on history. I showed how it connects to eugenics, Planned Parenthood, and all this stuff. And he didn't want to believe that. He says I'm doing a lot of dot connecting. I'm like, and your New Age stuff isn't with agnosticism that you come from star seed. You have no idea where you come from. You have no idea what you go, and your
Yeah.
life is basically nothing. Like 000 is what I'm seeing you cash out as, and I'm just saying, give me something that you define either for yourself, for somebody else, or where you come from. Give me something concrete. And he didn't have anything. And you're saying I'm doing dot connecting to make my theory work. What are you doing with yours? You're using pseudo theory of science to make it applicable to your life. And you have
Yeah.
no assurance in what you believe unless you're quoting your YouTube guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. He's like, well, I have to refer you to YouTube guy because I really don't know how to think or research these
Well,
things for myself.
I heard one time that he's the light in the way and Satan's the light bearer. So what are we doing here? It's like, okay,
Oh yeah, I guess he
clearly
also
you've
wants
read
to do
nothing else. Yes.
the Billy Carson. The one I'm like, why are we listening to Billy Carson still? Like, challenged him 6 times. He didn't want to do a debate, and then when he finally
He's
did do a debate, he harassed the guy who
he's been
his friend.
publicly embarrassed.
Yeah,
He's literally been in debates and tried to talk to the dude, and the dude was at the physical places that he was trying to deny, filming it, going, really?
mm-hmm.
He's a joke.
He's dude. I'm just surprised that people are still listening to him. But again,
Yeah.
when he's saying Thoth, I'm going Hermes. Hermes
Yeah.
is an equivalent of Thoth. And what do we
God
see
is an
Hermes always
alien.
carrying? The staff of the pharmaceutical
Caduceus.
company. The same thing that is the manhood of Baphomet.
Yeah, the thing, we won't ask me.
Yes, that thing. So Sephiroth, Caduceus, it's a similar thing. The Orphic egg. Again, you could say that this is the little thing on the top of Baphomet's chute at the top. How you born again, you ascend, and then you
It's the top
eventually.
of the Ankh too, after you explained it, because if you
Yes.
literally took the Ankh and then took that snake and made it the side of it, that's what it is.
You're graduating so fast, Michael. You're too good for this class. Yes, exactly. And again, then it's true because was it Nut, the goddess, the Egyptian goddess of the sky? When you see her, she's usually stooped over, doing like was it downward dog, but completely sprawled out in a canopy sense. It's the same thing, and then where would she be at the top of the Ankh? Right over everybody, right? And again, the Iranians said the sky was made of stone back in the day. This is why a lot of the Mithra cults would meet in caves, and sometimes they would chisel holes so that they could see the stars from where they were inside there. I have to go too much into that, but I will read enough of this. The cosmic egg from which hatched the primordial hermaphroditic deity, Phanes or Protogonus, variously equated also with Zeus, Pan, pandemic, pandemonium, Metis, or Eros, love. And Pan is supposed to be an equivalent, again, of Dumizid or Baphomet, a goat shepherd god.
Yep.
What does thought, again, it's either thought where we get thought from, or thoth, means in ancient Egypt, is the god of writing, magic, wisdom, and the moon.
And this is really important right now because they think they're going to fool everybody with disclosure. And they're going to
what
use
landed
this.
On the moon?
Apollo.
Mm-hmm. Apollo landed on the moon. What was the two numbers that came after that?
1-1.
Just like two towers. 1-1. 11. 11. 9/11. 9/11. Okay.
And then we send back Artemis.
And Artemis was the twin sister of Apollo and the goddess of sudden death.
Yep.
So again, Apollo, you could say it's equivalent of Nimrod or Tammuz and stuff like that. So he basically had connotations. He laid with his mother. We landed on the moon. Again, thinking in the occultic perspective, and now you're sending it back the other way. So now I have this very interesting theory that if Ishtar is supposed to be equivalent of Ishtar, and was it Easter and April Fool's Day both land on the same day in 2029.
Hmm.
April Fool's Day, if you look on the tarot cards, Fool is supposed to be an equivalent of Osiris, aka Nimrod, which means fool.
Cool. Yeah.
So if both those days are aligning in 2029, and Terminator Judgment Day was in what year in the movies?
Yeah, she blows up at the fence in 2029.
It's just making me go, I don't know, guys. But if they want Nimrod and her to be realigned at a certain point, I would say that's a very good day for it. I don't know, but just something again, it's speculation, just saying what the occult believes versus what we believe, and what would they possibly do with this?
And if Nut, the sky goddess, right, if she's bent over the earth, right, how we talked, right, she's symbolized as straddling the earth, but doggy style. Let's just make this simple. Okay. You're going to go to the moon with a phallic symbol so you could come back into that. Correct? Yes.
Born again, but yeah. In very vulgar terms, that's essentially it. Yes.
But yeah, that's
Mommy,
it.
what does that mean? And again, what was always with Thoth? The dog, the canine.
Yes.
Yeah, the dog.
Why
and
is this?
The name? What was the name of the dog that died? Sirius.
Sirius. Yep, is the dog up there. Yep, that's where we get that.
That was the one that died in 9/11. So maybe there's something there. According to one story, Thoth was born from the lips of Ra, the sun, at the beginning of creation, and was known as the god without a mother. In another story, Thoth is self-created at the beginning of time, and an ibis lays the cosmic eggs that holds all of creation. Now, if it holds all of creation, but you are the god, what is that basically saying? Think in Luciferian terms. If I eject the creator, but I have all the elements of which the creator used to make everything,
I am God.
Correct.
Yep.
Michael gets a sticker. But you see what I'm saying? That's what transhumanism, that's what alchemy is. If I can kill Christ, God's word, I take him out of the equation, and what do I put in the place? I will ascend to be like the God Most High. So if I take out the tongue of God, I win. But guess what happens, my young Padawan? He comes back as the way, the truth, and the life. You lost. It's game over.
No one gets to heaven unless it's through the Father.
Correct. No man comes to the Father but by the Son, which is the Word. Son, Word, and again, Son of God. It's always the same thing. When you read the Son, you think of the Word. You're obedient to the Son, you're obedient to God's Word. It's the same thing. Again, when I say that, a lot of people are like, what are you saying? No, I'm saying, like, that's the power of it. If you, again, to give something thought is to give it life. Manifestation. Only God can think of something like, you know what? Let's create a sun today. Oh, yeah. And it is good. Let's create some animals. Oh, yeah. And it is good. Right? God can think it up and boom, it functions perfectly like it's supposed to. Whereas what we do, okay, I got to think about it. All right, I gotta do something about
it. We made cows, and now we're in a beef shortage. Oh, cows aren't actually real? It's because we're not God.
Because we have to take from the cow in order to give ourselves life. But who ultimately created the cow to give us the meat in order to do, right? So
that's a real thing.
Cows
do not exist.
Though. Like, because
cows aren't real?
No, we've genetically modified so far through with like an ox that a cow is not something that nature produces. It doesn't exist in nature. We have genetically made a cow.
The hell?
That's dude, it's weird.
Oh gosh, dude.
Matt,
no, I don't doubt you, man. I'm
AI.
just saying
we're cows are not real.
With there was a video I saw and it kind of creeped me the heck out. They basically drilled a hole into the cow and they put some kind of suction thing and they pull something in and out of the cow. I'm like, you Frankenstein the cow.
Yeah.
Like, what the just no, this is not what we're supposed to be doing. It's humane. No, it's not. Get it out.
We're from a pretty rural area, so we're like, yeah, that's probably normal.
Dude, it's
Just shoving your hand right up in it.
Yeah, get up in it, dog.
the days of Noah, man. I'm seeing it everywhere we look these days.
Yes.
Anyways,
What
we
were you
see the
saying with
Baphomet.
AI though, Matt? It's like AI
With the
with
word of God, like I mean, how he spoke it and it just was created, right? Like you're almost starting to see that with AI, like where you can just type a prompt, right? And it's just becoming a thing. Like, I mean, I can type like, oh, Trump saying we're going to war with China, and now it's a thing, you know?
Yes.
I
And
just
in the
spoke that
Apple of
beginning,
my
into
there
eye,
was the word.
AI.
Yeah.
You have to give AI in order to understand pure knowledge. Odin had to give up his eye in order to obtain wisdom. You want to be part of the beast system, you're going to have to give an eye scan. Oh, ah, ah. Yeah, it's getting there, folks. I think that's honestly what it's going to come down to. And people are trusting demonic entities like with Elon Musk. With AI, we're summoning the demon. That's called kind of
The
what that.
government still, for crying out loud.
Yeah, they
Half of
folded it.
them are pedophiles, and we're like,
Yes.
we trust those guys, though.
I voted for him. You're happy about that, bro?
Like, you can take it back still. It's still okay to be like, all right, it was wrong.
Did the government read this same playbook and choose to start doing this, or is it like, hey man, this is what it's going to be, and it can't be stopped by man? You know, that's kind of where I'm at. It's like you can read this. Are you doing this to try to usher this in?
I think in part it's literally like quite literally the pyramid scheme is that it's kind of like it's like an addict. I really want to stop, man. We got to go to rehab. I don't want to go to that option. Why? Because I can't stop. I like it. I like the rush. So they kind of keep pushing the limit without realizing, long term, this is going to hurt you. Yeah, I don't even care about that anymore, man. I just want another
Yeah.
rush. And that's kind of what it is for these people. And again, they tell us to gauge success based off of competitiveness as opposed to cooperation. That the guy at the top who has the most money, mono eye, the one who has the most monai, is the one that's the most powerful among all of us.
And your
Okay.
emotions always going to win over that. So that's where yeah. No,
Well,
I
yeah,
need
they
more.
play
I need
on
to,
your emotions
yeah.
and how you interpret things. And again, it says in what verse was it? Revelation 18:23 that the great men of the earth were the merchants, corporations, lobbyists, political prostitute politicians, and by their pharmakia were the nations deceived. Merchants. Again, merchants who run the
Trade.
government, right? Well, I was reading an economic interpretation of the Constitution by Charles Beard, and he wrote this back in like 1912, I think it was, 1920 something. And it basically was explaining that the incentive for the people who were creating the upgraded version of the Articles of Confederation, that people could not run for office or vote unless they had, they couldn't run for office or what was it? Something other. I can't remember. Unless they owned property or they had a certain amount of money, and property was included with slaves. So wait a minute. So you're basically telling
you
me
used to
only the
have to pay to
agricultural
vote.
class, huh?
You used to have to pay to vote. There was
Yeah.
a time, and that's how parties became a thing. So, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I had to pay money in order to have the privilege to vote or speak my opinion. And again, dude, it's like, okay, so I have a mouth, right? I have a brain, yes, allegedly. Okay, so if I have these things, why can't I speak up on my behalf? Well, I have to send somebody to go speak on your behalf. But why? And then again, like I said to somebody before, if I'm in the state of Connecticut, statistically speaking, if I'm in the state of Connecticut, I'm always going to have a blue candidate, either Murphy or Blumenthal, to go speak on my behalf. But let's say I'm a Republican, and these guys keep getting in year after year after year, and I never get to have basically my voice represented because I'm not one of the blue guys. Because those guys always beat me out. I'm never heard. So shouldn't it be more prudent if we picked one blue guy, one red guy to represent everybody? So allegedly you'll now have a conduit of your voice and opinion being heard through your proxy speaker? You would think. But instead, we regulate it through parties. It's a flawed system. But again,
It should just be a free for all. Don't even affiliate yourself with anybody and just say like, "Hey, these are my views." You know, like why do you got to pick a team?
That's anarchism, or okay, the libertarian perspective is I'll speak on my own behalf. Thank you very much. And I'm not saying libertarian as in like if you're truly a libertarian, you don't need a political party. That is the whole essence of being an individual.
Yes.
You dummy. I don't know why they can't figure.
I folded on the Libertarian Party when Chase Rice or whatever was in 3 years ago. I was like, oh, now we're just for money and whatever's socially acceptable at the time. Dude, so now our candidate's gay and young and wants money. Cool, I'm out. That's what we did.
Young and money, but it's all right. I'll make a pass because at least he has my principles. It's like, does he really though? Because he's running on a party platform.
Him and his boys literally had like a sex tape in the White House. It was like, yeah, we're out, dude. The Libertarian Party folded. Yeah.
They never even began, sadly. That's the...
Yes.
Dear boys. I feel bad for them, dude. Anyways, again, when they have when I see those arguments, you're not a real libertarian. I'm like, yeah, if you need a politician to speak on your behalf, then you're not doing it right. What Matt just said, that's what it should be. Or when you're watching Monty Python, I am your king. Well, I didn't vote for you. Well, you don't vote for me. That's the whole premise. I was appointed. Right there. See the violent inheritance of the system. This guy comes over and tells me I'm your ruler, and you're like, well, I have an objection to that. Because I think the way you got it is incredibly bad. Watery tart. That's what that comes down to. Is like, I do not acknowledge you as my ruler. And they get upset with that.
Yep. Off with your head.
Right. It's like, I'm basically saying, I think I can rule myself. Granted, I might be, a druggie. I might be dumb. But guess what? If you're truly that evolutionary individual, you should have no problem with me offing myself if I'm stupid, right? So leave me be.
Not my business.
No.
In essence, like, I don't know. I call it political eugenics, where if you have to pay money or be part of a party in order just to have your voice heard, then you're not truly being heard at all.
Because you have to conform to the party.
Right. Right. And when you become part of the party, you're no longer an individual. And if you're no longer an individual, you don't know how to think for yourself. And it's funny that they call it a party, like you're having a good time, but you're really not.
Yeah.
Like I'm waking up with a hangover every time I vote. This is
the extent people go to be heard as an individual. They'll give up individualism to be an individual.
Yeah. Well, again, that goes back into, was it Franklin or Jefferson? I think it was Franklin who would give up a little liberty for whatever. I am paraphrasing, something of that nature. Who would sacrifice this is not worth.
Yeah, somebody who would sacrifice.
Who was it?
I think it was
freedom
Franklin.
Or liberty for security.
Yeah.
Deserves neither.
Right. And again, that's what peace and safety. Well, we want peace and safety. We want strong borders. We want a better economy. We want this. It's like, yeah, you're kind of doing the same thing with statism, people. You're basically saying we want a nation over God, right? But it's like, no, you don't want God over your nation. You want him over your money. And what did God say? Or Christ say? On behalf of God, the love of money is the root of all evil. And again, he's speaking through the Holy Spirit, through Paul, for Timothy. Yeah. And again, mono, I, one eye. Was it Franklin? Michael, I think I saw you looking it up.
It is. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety.
Now remember, he's a 33-degree Freemason.
Yep.
He's my cousin.
When you're
8th grade cousin. So give me all your Benjamins, because it's family.
When you're scared and want protection, you're going to end up losing both.
Right. And again, so if this is one of the guys that's founding your documents, Constitution means I agree to this in Latin. So
give me power, I will keep you safe.
Right. And that's what the merchant class basically did. They basically, East India Company, that's why we have the American flag. It's based off the colors of the East India Company, and they didn't want to use the British flag because that might be a little bit too obvious. Yep. So they basically were given a sovereign chartered grant, just like the Hudson Bay Company for Canada. And they basically said, okay, so I get to act basically as a privateer class, right? You're a privateer, you're separate, but you get to act like you always do, and you gain profit and stuff like that, but you have to pay a little tier percentage back to the king. Okay, so how do I tell that to the population over there? Because they're not going to buy this for 1 second. All right,
that's
tell
why we
them that they
left.
right. Well, allegedly, and that says tell them that they're now free. Give them what they want. Give them some milk and cookies. Tell them that it was their idea, right? Hegelian dialect 101. And then at the end of it all, you guys are going to be walking away as the top dogs. All right, that sounds awesome. I make money, and because I have money, I get to speak on behalf of all the dumb schmucks over there. Yeah. All right, this rocks. And I also get to have slaves. That's considered property. Where do I sign? Right here, John Doe. Okay. It's sad, but that's in essence what went down, dude. And it's funny because, like, today we're dealing with a lot of merchants that are deceiving everybody. In America, if anything, we are the #1 country that's based on merchants. We're a corporation. That's why they capitalized everything. When it's all spelled in capitals. And I think we have a corporation number for the White House. If people want to cross-reference me with
Yes.
Bloomberg.
America is a corporation. We are
Yeah.
listed as a business.
So it's like, well, we want a businessman to run the country. Well, every time he did it, he went bankrupt. So
That's why you can travel in America and write it off, because it's a corporation.
uh-huh.
Yep.
So, for Mithraic iconography, as for you, Emperor Julian, I, Hermes, have granted you to know Mithras the Father, keep his commandments, thus securing for yourself an anchor capable of safe mooring all through your life, and when you leave the world, having every confidence that the God who guides you will kindly dispose. Emperor Julian Caesarius, 336 CE. The Roman Cult of Mithras by Manfred Claus. The 7 initiatory rites of Mithras. Whether thou wouldst bear the right to the red name of Titan in the tradition of the Achaemenian people, or the fruitful Osiris Nimrod, of him who beneath the rocks of the Persian cavern twists the horns of the stubborn bull, Mithras, court poet Statius of 92 CE. The Roman mystery cult of Mithras, you might say Freemasons, 7 degrees of initiation enabled the neophyte to proceed through the 7 celestial bodies, Kundalini, allowing a reversal of the descent of the human soul into the world at birth. To achieve this, the initiate ascended the 7 heavens and walked through the Milky Way, returning to the origin of the soul. The initiates worked with the 4 elements and the 7 planetary energies. And the initiations involve the undergoing of purification and ordeals. The 7 sets of symbols on the floor of the mosaic Mithraism of the Felissimus in Ostia, Italy, show the emblems of each of these 7 grades. So in essence, like we were seeing with the Kundalini thing, when you actually merge the Kundalinis, some could say if you cut it right down the middle, it's a 3-3. A 33. You have the 3 aspects of feminine and the 3 aspects of masculine. When you merge it together, you get the perfect being, which is aka the fruit of Nimrod and Semiramis. Nimrod doing his own mother and or sister, varying on whatever variation of the story, and you get the product of Tammuz. Same thing. Yeah. So if we reverse the cosmic design of how God ordered it, we'll be able to get back to the process of, the inbreeding. This is what Egyptian cults were doing for freaking decades and centuries.
I love that it's the 7 initiatory rites of Mithras. Like, bro, no. God created it in 6 days and then rested on the 7th. Nice try. You messed that up right from the beginning. See, I didn't drop the F there. Fixed it. And you're out here, the 7 planetary energies. What are we doing with planetary energies too on top of this that lead to a purification of ordeals?
And again, what did the Greeks and Romans name their planets after? Pagan
Gods.
deities.
Yeah.
Archons, Titans.
Little G's.
Little G's, little Elohim. And again, if it's semi-true that the planets are supposed to be an equivalent of angels or something like that, whether or not that's true, we'll all find that out when we
Angels,
get up there. But possibly there's something there to all of this. I don't know. Well, you just said with Iran. Now let me read over here for the start of chapter 4. The oldest source of the Persian gnosis knowledge is to be found in Mithraism, an ancient Persian, remember Iranian is the modern equivalent, spiritual path, which began in the eastern Iran many thousand years ago. We have already touched upon the links between Mithraism and the Islamic Sufism. Their parliament happens to have 33 windows on the side of it. The Mithraic mysteries exerted their influence on other religions and cultures as well. The Mithraic influence on Christianity is the subject of much historical research. Some recommendations are included in the further reading section in the back of this book. Another religion that was mostly influenced but is rarely mentioned is Yazidism. Nevertheless, there is one good book by Taufik Mwabi on the subject of further reading. Mithraism also is suggested to have influenced Greek Hermetic magic. Okay, so you're telling me Hermes and Mithra have a connection right here in this particular book. Okay,
And it's
as
magic.
for the influence, and again, so people are like, you're just making that up. How do you know these things connect? As I had one guy in a YouTube section, I was explaining how this was the precursor to Freemasonry. And I went through a whole list citing the books, citing this. And he's like, okay, you're not just some random person on the internet making up random things. So I was like, that sounds like you've researched it. I was like, yes.
Thank you.
As for the influence of Mithras on Western culture in general, one can see the influence of studying the British history. In this chapter, we'll explore some of those connections. And I can't remember who wrote this one, but I know it was it's another Mithraism, I think is the name of the book. And then I can't pronounce the author's name. So if you can't pronounce the author's name, probably the book I'm citing right now.
So Mithraism and British when we left, or British when influence when we were still a part of that? And
Well, here's the
I
thing.
mean,
What
as
do we
USA.
usually refer to? Either when you're talking about the currency of England, or you're talking about the monarchy. You usually refer to them with a C word. Usually prefaced with the word the.
The crown.
Correct. And
Yep.
what did we have in 2020?
Come on.
Can't say that word either.
The crown virus.
Yes. And what do you call German currency?
Get out of here.
Starts with an M.
You know this. It's not a Deutschmark. It's a
Mark.
Yeah, it's a mark. I was gonna say it's just a mark now.
Teutonic Knights.
Come on.
Mark of the Beast. I don't know, but in Belgium, Switzerland, they have a BEAST. There's a dot after every one of those. And it's a data collecting center. I don't know, but if they formed the Knights Templar, marks, crowns, Mark of the Beast, I don't know.
You probably got an old library that you need to upload to a bunch of... Yeah, we'll get the occultism running
they
here.
They burned the Library of Alexandria. I am the Library of Alexandria.
I am it, yep.
And this is why they don't like me, and I'm going to probably, drink hemlock. If I did create ever an academy, I'd probably call it Hemlock Academy. Because that's what Socrates said. I said, I am annoying. I'll drink hemlock and die.
Yep. Was Socrates even real?
Yes.
Socrates, Plato, all of them?
Yes. I would highly say that they were. Plato, I love it because there was another guy called Diogenes. Can't say I'm 100% with him, but he was one of those guys that was the ultimate troller, dude. There's just so many. My favorite is the story with Alexander, where he's starting to go through his conquering basically tour, and he says Alexander goes up to him and he's like, tell me something wise and I'll basically give you half my kingdom. And Diogenes looks up from his little barrel and he's like, I ask that you step out of the light. Double whammy. One, you're blocking. The only thing I need is the sunlight of the today. And secondly, just stand out of the light of the world. Like, you're not all that great.
Leave us alone. Yeah.
And some of them are like, that's like offensive. And he's like, if I could be anybody, allegedly this is what it said afterwards. Some people say it might be embellished. Alexander said, if I could be anybody, I would be, if I wasn't Alexander the Great, I'd be Diogenes. And Diogenes said, if I could be anybody but Diogenes, I would be Diogenes. So basically, screw your paradigm of being greater than me. It's like I'm happy being who I am, nothing.
Mhm.
And he trolled Plato one time by going into one of his lectures, because I think Plato is basically making the preface that man is basically a bipedal bird without wings. So he ran in there one day with a chicken and he ripped off all the wings of the said chicken and he holds it up in front of the whole academy saying, "Behold, Plato's man." So, and Plato, who was the student of Socrates, he said that Diogenes was basically Socrates gone mad. So, yes, I do think that these individuals existed. Socrates, I think, is the only one that I would give a little bit of grace towards. Plato very heavily influenced a lot of this Neoplatonic thought that the perfect soul is already within man. All we need to do is get rid of the cage, which is our flesh, in order for us to ascend to become in our highest form. I was like, but the Bible says none is righteous, no, not one. Um,
Well, I
that
mean,
doesn't compute.
maybe don't be afraid to die. That's what he means.
It wasn't necessarily as what he was painting, though, because even the concept, like when you go inside of a church, and I don't care if it's Orthodox, Catholic, but you see all these great paintings on the wall or the tainted glass windows and stuff like that. Man goes in there and they're like, "What great architecture and symbolism! This is like that's a religious relic. How beautiful and sacred it is because it was made for God." And God's like, "I don't care about that. I care about you, the individual." But it's like, yes, but it's so great in here because you've went now into the cathedral inside and you see how beautiful it is. The same thing at the outside. It's like a sculpture of a Greek thing. Look at that is the ultimate man, muscular, has a giant phallic release in there. But not an ounce of fat on his body. That is the ideal man. That is the ideal structure. You go inside, this is the ideal soul. But ultimately, what are you looking at? You're looking at materialism to define the
Yeah.
spiritual. And this is where people are getting all, goofed up. They're like, well, obviously, this must be what God wants because they made it on behalf of God, right? Yeah, these people please me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. I didn't even want them to build me a temple. I told David, I said, I haven't had a place of residency since I've been wandering with you guys in the wilderness. But if you want, I'll concede and allow it. So it was more of a concession as opposed to a what God wanted for a temple. I've covered this before with you guys in depth, but I'm just showing again. Hermes alchemists, right? This they're
There's
showing you that this
there's
is
the air.
Hermes alchemists, Freemasonry. So Hermes, Thoth, Mithraism, all the same dang thing. And again, like I said, in the middle you get the perfect man, Tammuz. The eyes, the symbol of Tammuz, what you were just saying about one of those months, the one we're in currently, with no holidays except for a minor fast and no real practices associated with it, at least not any that I've found. This makes a lot of sense when you think of the Jewish wheel of the year and the relationship agrarian cycles. The summer months are when there is too much work to be done in the field, sowing, tilling, planting, and harvesting. Even though there isn't a specific practice we can associate with Tammuz, there is a theme. It's vision, the eyesight. Tammuz is a month that challenges us to really see what's in front of us and focus. If vision is the symbol theme, then eyes are the symbol. The practice for Tammuz then is to see, open your eyes. Now, again, when you were initiated into the occult, especially in a Freemasonic lodge, one of the first things you do with your initiation is you go up between on this little altar and you have like the three candles. I think I've shown that one to you before. Yeah, you go
Yeah.
in there and you have the three candles, and like as Russell Brand wrote the day after his baptism, wearing a satin shirt while doing tarot, um, take off the blindfold and you will see the light. Hmm. What light is that, buddy? Well, what light is that? Just like a magician. If I'm doing the trick right in front of you, you can't claim that I deceived you. Why? You had your eyes open, right? Yeah, but I don't know what you were doing and how you hid it. I didn't know you had some compartment. I didn't know you did like, yes, but you saw it, psyops. You saw it on the television. You saw the
Well,
security footage. What do you mean you don't know what's going on? Or how dare you say that it was a psyop or something like that? Yeah, but you can also do mind control with people and make them do things that they didn't know that they were doing until like, oh crap, and I'm arrested now?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they do all the time. Again, Helios, or the eye, again, look at the image over here at the IRS Israel. Likely a reflection. That's eyes.
That's
Of the
almost worse than
Egyptian.
a curse word. Be careful.
I'm sorry. The only country in the Middle East that starts with an I and ends with an L. I worked a way around that one. Egyptian sun god Ra sailing through the skies on a bark, or through the body of the sky goddess Nut, to be reborn at dawn every morning anew. What is the dawn? Armageddon?
Mm-hmm.
I broke down Armageddon and I put it in Aramaic. Armaged dawn.
Sailing across the skies in a bark, like wood, like tree bark.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And who is known for riding the souls to the afterlife?
A lot.
The Reaper. The Reaper, and
Hades.
then
The
you're
Grim
going
Reaper.
into the little boat and you're going off to the other side with the ferryman. I'm just saying, dude. And again, the ferryman has to go across what?
Lake of Fire.
Water. But
Yep.
yeah, water is usually equated like the ferryman because he's going over water. It's like, okay, water's above, as above, so below. You have a circle to go between realms. Christ was walking on water. There's a crystal sea in heaven. Astronaut. Astro meaning star, not as in nautical. Water star, water. Interesting.
Currency. Cash flow. Weird.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Anyways, last time I played this on or posted this on Instagram, hit me with a violation, and they didn't let me repeal it. Basically, did you know that there was an all-seeing eye ceremony post 9/11?
Yeah, I
Oh,
did.
you've seen this before?
Well, I remember when it happened, they put like an eye in the middle, and there's like a pit dug down there, even. There's like a 40-story pit in the ground with it.
Where is it? I kind of want to get. Oh, there we go. Ground zero. Ground nothing?
Why is it the top of an Ankh right now?
Mm-hmm. You noticed that too?
Yeah.
I don't know, folks, but there's definitely something that, again, when they're praying, you're like, oh, they're praying to God. Yeah, which God? It's not a Christian God. I can guarantee you that. God has nothing to do with money.
We
He
weren't
has nothing
lying.
to do with one eye.
We said a God.
Right. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. What are we hitting for time? It was 2 hour. Yeah, we'll wrap it up. I'll hit some of the highlights of what we've seen recently. The screenshot, because Elon Musk in this thing, he says we don't have like that social credit score that they have in China. That that app that they got called WeChat, where you can't buy or sell or enter a store without it. He's a big fan of it. And then when the girl is doing the interview, she's trying to get into a store, and the Chinese guy's like, says I can't go in because I don't have the app on my phone. And artificial intelligence, iPhone. Because somebody at the church, I was like, I'm actually impressed considering he's not exactly into the conspiratorial world. But he's like, well, Brandon, we don't really like need to have like any digital chip put in us. We already have everything on our phones. And I was like, cell phone, prison phone, cellular.
I remember
cells,
when my
as in human
social credit
cells.
score dropped because I wouldn't put a diaper on my face, so I wasn't allowed in stores.
That actually happened?
Yeah. When you were like
When you didn't wear a
back in
mask?
2020, when you wouldn't put a diaper on your face, you weren't allowed in stores. So,
And that hit your social credit score?
I mean, technically, if I don't
all right,
confide to their rules and their
If you
way of
posted,
life,
right? If you
then-
posted a picture of yourself without a mask, think about it. You were roasted. It did hit your social credit score. They're like, oh, you're out shopping right now? How dare you?
yeah, like how dare you not conform to our rules and wear a mask?
Yes.
Yeah, you
It's
weren't
like my place of
socially
employment.
acceptable right now.
I think when Biden got in, wow, guys, I'm bashing Biden. When Biden got in, I was like in January, and the boss comes over and he hands me this envelope. He's like, basically, if you haven't gotten the jib jab, you could be fired, stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, so? And he's like, well, dude, it's a federal order. I'm like, I don't care if the emperor of the freaking world signed that. I'm not doing it. Well, you lose your job. Okay, so you're
Okay.
going to fire me because of some federal mandate? You're like, that doesn't. I was like, do you hear yourself right now? Well, dude, I'm just delivering the message. I know, but it's the fact that you're okay with delivering the message and you're not like, yeah, I don't agree with it either, even if I did get it myself. It's like, yeah, well, this is why I'm not going to feel bad when I see all these people freaking get what's happening to them because I'm just going to be like, we told you, we warned you, you just didn't know how to think for yourself. But, anyways, when he's saying that, with AI we're summoning the demon, or AI will provide universal income for all. You have this universal Noahide laws. The Catholic means universal church. And you have him when he posted Doc Maga Assemble. I did a video breakdown on my Rumble and think Spotify. You had like this all-seeing eye thing in the center, portal, and then you have like a Christ thing posted over here. It was a very creepy video. We break it down in more detail. But he says, oh, hi, I'm Dark Maga. Dark Maga? I don't know if I like the sound of that because, according to this trading card for a game here by Jim Murray, that might help you cross-reference in finding it. Maga, traitor to mortals. Maga, traitor to mortals, comes into play with X plus 1 plus 1 counters
Hold
on it.
on. What's his kid's name? Right?
A equals 1,
Yeah.
I equals 9. AI equals X, Roman numerals. X Osiris, X, you always, again, demonstrational purposes, you always see the celebrities doing X
What do you
over their
rename
chest.
What's Twitter now?
Yeah, X.
Yeah.
His kid is literally like AE or A1X or however you pronounce it and stuff like that. He wears a black Make America Great Again.
Dark.
What's black? So yes, come on.
And again, when you see red and black when they bounce off each other, I don't think I have it with this particular compilation, but they do complement each other in Hermetic Kabbalah circles, and he fills in the blanks of feminine and masculine. I can't remember which color was which. But yeah, so when he's saying that, it's kind of like, guys, and then you go by what his nanny was saying when she was asked that point blank. When I asked to do an interview with her, she said it's like $250 per 15 minutes. I was like, I ain't got that kind of cash, you crazy.
What?
Yeah, I was like, dude, I can't. I was like, I stuff I put out here. I wish I could charge that kind of money. I can make a freaking $1,000
I can
an
afford
episode.
a minute.
I know. It was like 15 minutes. Sheesh. Anyways, she was saying when she asked in the inner circle, she says like, is he the Antichrist? And she goes, no. But he'll be the one that'll introduce the mark, and the man that walks on stage after him will be. Now, is that Trump? Is that Barron? I don't know. Like I said, maybe Trump is actually a false prophet. I don't know. Telling us what we're supposed to be looking for, but we'll see. When Maga comes into play, target player loses life equal to the number of 1 plus 1 counters on it. 1 plus 1, the 2 towers, Apollo 11. Maybe there's something there, and they're telling us again in games.
Mm-hmm.
In games.
It's all a game to them, though. You know.
I'll read this because this is relevant. So when you see your social security, but the sun god himself did not communicate directly to his followers. The eagle, the Syrian sunbird, acted as a servant messenger. It was the eagle that carried souls to their destination, at least those who had undergone the necessary purification. Don't worry, you get the AI thingy. The eagle thus played a prominent part in the cult of Sol Invictus. Elagabal, Sol Invictus and Lagabal, which is an emperor, and was frequently represented together with his master, the sun god. A marble altar in Rome in the Reggio Tiberina carries the image of Sol Invictus born of an eagle. One of the priests of the god, T. Iulius Balbulus, dedicated an aquila to him. The eagle, or else a chariot drawn by 4 horses, carried the souls to the next world. The souls of the emperors could attain this eternal bliss much easily because their lives were spent in close communion with the deity. And again, it's in this cult, Sol Invictus Elagabal was not alone. Similar practices were known in the cults of Cybele and Attis. You look up Cybele and Attis, they're that spiked crown guy we got in the Statue of Liberty. Same exact hat. So
The
eagle,
eagle,
spiked crown, security, peace, and safety, security.
French are in on this.
Huh?
this
And the French are obviously in on this too.
Totally, dude. You cannot trust people who eat frogs.
the Syrian sunbird too.
Anyways, and again, like I said before, the Christmas tree stuff, but then they equate again Tammuz with Attis and Apollo, the sun god. Apollo 11, Attis, Christmas trees, phallic symbols flying up into the air, all the same stuff. And again, Trump is based on a lot of this stuff before. We can skip that. So, let's get to the stuff that we just saw recently in the news. So Trump posts himself, allegedly.
How does that not make you sick?
It doesn't make me sick because I don't define Christ with images, graven images, but in the occult, white tunic, red sash, for me, this I think I messaged Michael or something like that shortly when this happened, and he's like, "Bro, you called it." I was like, "Yeah, this is only been saying this for 3 years. Not that I'm promoting esotericism, but when I see this, it's like, guys, I think I just got a little vindication here."
I can't believe he posted that.
Well, again, he adapted it from somebody else on Twitter. I think it was a politician or some doctor guy.
Yep.
And this wasn't originally demonic or spiked crown like you see over in the background, but now he's got that there. He intentionally changed that. Magus or Maga is the highest degree in the Church of Satan. He is the sovereign master, call no man master on earth, as Christ said, of satanic magic and philosophy. This archon's archetype, fuses with the tarot's magician, whose red and white robes proclaim the eternal hermetic law, as above, so below. With the masterful will, the magician reaches into the invisible realm, seizes hidden forces, and compels them to take form in the material world. With AI, we are summoning the demon.
Also, folks, the Magi is in tarot the highest what card? Let's see if Brandon knows this. What do they call the cards?
Trump.
Yes, sir. It's the highest trump card. What the hell?
And what is over his head?
The infinity.
It could be either a little bit higher up in the
card.
card.
The eye, the one or the eye. Yep.
Yes.
The AI.
I or one. We have an I problem, a me problem. People will be lovers of themselves rather than lovers of God. I don't know, but when I see this, it's like, wow. And again, I thought I was a doctor. When you look into that on the Church of Satan website, feel free to cross-reference and fact-check me. You'll find the doctor is the highest degree of the Maga. Again,
I looked up to see if Apollo 11 took any pictures of the corona, because it would only make sense, the sun coming over. Yeah. And not only did they get the first pictures of the corona like that, but they thought that it was weirdly shaped, and it's also a satellite spy program. Just in case we were wondering.
Just saying, man. Just saying.
But he claimed it was elliptical, not circular. So almost like a crown, right? That round ellipse.
And it had spikes on it. I don't know, man. I find this stuff weird. Again, you saw it with Charlie. He's wearing Libertas Freedom on his shirt. While doing the same pose, coincidentally. It's like, again, out of all the poses you could have taken, that particular one, find it interesting, whether it's not, whether it's true. I'm still planning on getting that compiled, but the thing is, I'm having an issue when I upload videos on Facebook. It won't let me download it onto my computer and then transfer it over so I can make a Canva presentation. I still have it all saved, but when I'm ready, I'll do it. Hopefully it'll be this year. So we're just trying to find a guy that can help me get some program to do that. But again, you can say, well, Brandon, you're just making that up. Well, again, Turning Point used to be like halfway, and then they decided to fully circle it after Charlie, and now it's a snake consuming its tail, just like a Ouroboros. It's either figure eight and or full on circle.
Why's the head red too? You know, you could have picked any section, and you
Red,
made
white, and
it
blue,
so
the
that
same
it's a
colors
head.
of
Yep.
red, white, and blue, the same colors of the crowns of Egypt. Crowns, coronas. Don't know, but again, they paint him like that for us. It means worldly experience, knowledge, Gnosticism, wisdom, willpower, and passion, and one of egotism, rage, and revenge. Final judgment. And you see Trump wearing, and this is for a graduation ceremony. Everybody mistakenly takes the video for an actual Masonic ceremony. It actually was a graduation from one of the schools in Scotland. However, said school that he allegedly graduated from does have Masonic ties. So that I did fact check for people just to get their story straight, because we see how the internet is. They see one thing and then they go crazy on it, and they didn't really fine tune specifically in conversations. But you see how the pattern is still very, very freaking similar. So again, as above, so below, and this is
It
the air
literally
sign.
looked like he was wearing the magician as the. If you go back a slide, it looks like he's wearing like the white right there inside the black. It looks like a body holding its arms up, just like the magician.
Mm-hmm. And again, he usually wears like what, a blue or red tie. Again,
Yeah,
and this is
always.
way before then, but he intentionally wore white for the center.
Yep.
Didn't
Yeah,
have
that's
to,
weird.
but was probably told, and this is what you got to do for the ceremony. So, and again, when you shave off this, you shave off that, what do you get? The all-seeing eye on top of your pyramid, which means air. And Ephesians, I think he says Satan is the power, the prince of the air. His
Yeah.
planet is Mercury. As above, so below. This is affiliated with him. In Mithra initiation rituals, it's the same thing. Alan West, who was running for governor of Texas, white and red patterns here. Jonathan Rumi from The Chosen, white and red for some Templar initiation. So, could say, oh, it's not true, blah, blah, blah. Angel Studios. You notice how this thing looks very similar to the angel figure that was in Trump's photo? Should have pieced those together. See this? Again, if you can zoom in, folks, or pause. Get the 3 points over here. Oh, and then you got the, again, this is what I did. I saw Angel Audio, boom, they have the little logo. Take a little light on that, bump, 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 bump. Oh, so it spikes on a, okay. Go a little bit further, and it's an all-seeing eye, or a reptilian eyeball. But I thought you said Angel Studios. What kind of angel?
Yeah, which angel?
And yes, this is their watermark. This is not me doing something with AI. That's their watermark to prove that this is their thing. Yeah. Things that make you go, Yeah. Son of Perdition is in Revelation 9:11, interestingly enough.
A lot of people think it's Obama.
Oh, dude, I had a gal that messaged me, and she was scolding me up, down, sideways that it's proven that it's Obama, and you're, a false teacher, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but who's known as the Prince of Peace on his Menorah Award? Who received the crown of Jerusalem? Who's being called Anointed One via being called Cyrus? Who received a Dove Award on Columbus Day, which means dove, by the way? Who? Oh, you didn't know? That was all connected with Trump. Who has name etymology to Baal?
Yeah.
That was connected with Trump. Again, this is for me. Everybody's coming at this from a lot of people who are assessing it. It might be him. No, I'm not saying this is concrete. You can, listen to me, go to the hills and all that stuff. What I am saying is he is hitting a lot of the antithesis of Christ's message with his platform. He is making people turn on family members because some are saying, I don't care about politics anymore. It's more about morals and ethics and God's word. And
Yes.
they're rather defending somebody that's highly affiliated with somebody that would abuse children. And what did the Bible say about those who abuse children?
Millstone around their neck.
Right. So again, for me, it's really saying like you're choosing this day whom you will serve. You'd rather have the goat, greatest of all time, than Christ. Again, this is the Church of Satan where I have it with the Magus and stuff like that. Trump's
Yep.
name, Donald, means world ruler. Trump means to obtrude, also to deceive, one up, or outdo somebody else. I don't know who did this, but they had Christ raising his eyebrow, looking at him like, no.
Yeah. Who's this guy?
Yeah. I think we can wrap it up there. We can wrap that up there. Anything else? I think I had one thing towards the end. The Last Supper. So yeah, when I was watching that whole thing with the Olympics,
Mhm.
I was like, that's not the Last Supper was probably painted by that Rosicrucian artist. I can't remember, was it it's Michelangelo?
Mhm.
Was it Michelangelo who did the Last
Think
Supper
so.
painting? Anyways, yeah,
Yes.
he was a Rosicrucian, which is a Christian Mason. And again, Helios Modus Dromomus represented the sun. Mithras in the center of his Last Supper. That's an equivalent. Pater. And we got St. Peter.
Da Vinci,
Pater
wasn't it?
Mithras at the soul.
Is
of
it
the
Da Vinci?
It's Da Vinci.
Da Vinci.
Okay.
Thank you. I know I was going to get that wrong.
It's
I
one of
think he
those.
did the Sistine Chapel. Mithra Mithra had 12 disciples born on December 25th. Christ or Horus. Okay. Right. So it's like, did the devil know what was coming and he intentionally started creating a counterfeit?
Yeah.
Because again, if you're up there and you're one of the sons of God, you kind of have a rough blueprint of what's coming up, and then you're over here going, "Well, crap, I know what's coming up, but I don't know how he's going to do it." So you try your best to defy it via man through materialism, and you still fail because you don't understand the spiritual components here. So,
I know
again,
that's
World Economic Forum, you could say, Brandon, you're just making this up. You have the tower that's right next to Trump, which again over here is talking about Nimrod on the tarot cards being struck. And then
the
you have the
hermit.
magician directly underneath Trump, printing out 3D cities,
Yep.
aka Freedom Cities.
What's the
With a
hermit?
blindfold with the what do you call it? The metaverse. Oh, by the way,
Oh,
meta.
Oculus. Yeah.
Meta means death in Hebrew. Verse means row. So metaverse means death row. Crap.
You
Again,
can't say that. As part of my job, we build data centers for Meta.
no, quit. Why serve the beast?
I build them for Microsoft, Meta, Oracle for Palantir, right? All of them.
Dude, sabotage it. I'm quality assurance. All the more.
We need me to last in there. We need me there.
Well, gather intel in the very least, so how we can destroy crap. One time, I think it was in 2020, I asked AI. Yeah, I did it. 2024 election results. This is what popped up.
2014, 5 horses.
4 horses of the apocalypse with one guy that looks kind of like Trump from the rear riding towards the center. How did AI know Trump was going to win? And you notice how the horse over here specifically looks like a dragon?
Or
Not
it looks
so much
like
a horse.
Biden leaving, like Biden riding to the gallows. Almost too. It's like either way, it's not. Yeah, it's Trump.
It looks like Trump. I don't know. He looks a little bit heavier set than Biden.
That's true too. He's got SS officer boots on. That Nazi's
Right.
Trump.
Right. SS officer. Anyways, I was like 4 horsemen of the apocalypse much?
Yeah.
Is that I don't know, but he's equated himself a lot of times with this. He's got name etymology to the to Tammuz, and again, the hidden consciousness, the mind's eye, is basically the carbon copy of 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, 6 protons, man ascending to become like God.
I think it's important that a lot of the occultism here falls back to like ancient Zoroastrian and Persian stuff, you know?
Right.
And there's very specific Persian prophecy that has to happen. And now we see Trump, the 47th president, going after Iran, who's been Iran and free for 47 years. You know, it's all weirdly tying up. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
well, again, the verse the verse that they have on his temple coin to commemorate the embassy being moved to Jerusalem is that God gave him all the kingdoms of the earth. Cyrus. And it's like
Yeah.
world ruler, gave him all the kingdoms of the earth.
Who's going to push Israel out, though?
Or
Right?
Israel's supposed to go out, because this is where the other guy was messaging earlier, saying like you're just basically doing you rage bait. And I'm like, no, I care about ideologies, not ethnicities. And you look into their plan, they actually want most of Christianity and Muslims to wipe each other out. And then halfway to that point, they start going, wait a minute, the enemy of my enemy is your enemy. Why don't we just get rid of the main source of the problem? And then you get rid of all the settlers. What leaves behind is 7,000 of the pure blood clans left. So they get rid of the settlers. We don't really need all of them. We just want the last of the families to survive. And then everybody under that is going to be our slaves. The last 5 million of humanity, whatever the Georgia Guidestone said. That's all they want. Wait, so basically burn the whole world and then live in underground cities for the rest of their lives? Yeah, because we can't go up to God. That plan failed with Babel, so we're going to go down into the centers of the earth. Good luck with that.
That's where the UFOs have been. There's already stuff down there. Nice try.
Anyways, and again, the reason I found it very interesting with him wearing that white tunic, red sash, all these equivalents with Christ, his name having a name etymology to Baal. Basically, what Satan said is, you'll become like gods. That is essentially AI. It's like we can download our brains into the clouds, our thoughts, right? And then I looked into the name etymology roughly for Hermes, and it roughly came out to meaning His Highness, the hero of divine ordinances of, again, I added eternal youth. Tammuz, fertility, flawless youth. Never aging. So anyways, I'm seeing all this coming into fruition. I was finding it interesting that Trump would post such a audacious thing, especially with Mithraism being heavily connected with the magician on the tarot card and Hermes. As above, so below. And again, if we know anything about the occult, this is what they worship. This is what they believe in. And whether I'm right or wrong, I just found it very interesting that Trump would post anything of that nature.
There's no way Trump didn't take this image and somebody go, hold on, bro. There's absolutely no way.
Or is it even him? Because he doesn't necessarily have to post. Now, again, with AI, it's like, give me something that Trump would say that would be so audacious and get reactions. Why don't you say this?
I don't like to hear that either, though.
Well, I'm just saying, dude, it's kind of like he's already done his thing. Now he's in basically retirement age. And be this as it may, you kind of have to wonder, why did Elon Musk, who's like 5 or 6 years old, basically tell him, like, you're garbage and dirt and we totally own you? Like, what does he know that most of America doesn't know? Like, you would think this kid would not have the audacity. You think he'd be like that dumb kid is picking his nose and playing Lincoln Logs on the ground. But he has the audacity to go up to the guy that runs America now and say all of that to his face. Like, I kind of have to wonder. I think he knows something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyways, gentlemen, went on a few side tangents, but it was all good because I think that's kind of what the audience is here for, hopefully. And I haven't done a presentation like this in a while. And let me just explain before we toss it back over to you. I've not been able to do a lot of presentations because, one, I've been kind of busy. Secondly, money is kind of getting a little tight. And third, I've basically been being boycotted and blocked by most podcast hosts. They don't want to have me back on. And I'm thinking whether that's, behind the scenes, whether they're all talking to each other, whether it's controlled opposition, whether they all have a, secret group chat talking about me. I don't know, but the ones that have integrity, I'll have to go back to work because they can't afford it. So they can't, they can't open up their platform. And then you have individuals like this where they're the only ones that basically offer for me to still come on and have a great conversation. So thank you, gentlemen, for that. And just letting everybody know that's why I haven't been able to do what I usually do.
We are always open for you. And it is weird, dude. That's how the end of the world's going to act. There will be attacks. There will be stifling. People will keep you back. Dude, people are afraid to be offended. They don't want to be scrutinized. They don't want to be wrong in Christ. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to be told that you're doing something wrong? or maybe you're not even doing wrong. Okay, perhaps they don't like what you're saying. Well, for a second, I'm going to look at it at least. You gave a bunch of receipts and a bunch of info. It's like, okay, if you think Brandon's out here stirring the pot and oh yeah, it's just some psyop going the other way, or it's super hateful or whatnot, or whatever reason somebody gives, it's like, the dude's just talking about Christ. We're here for Christ.
That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Is like I don't understand. Like that guy I did the debate with, he just got absolutely offended because I ruined his whole worldview. And I made him kind of look semi-stupid by just asking basic questions. So I think ultimately, dude, what it's coming down to is, like you said, the people, they're lovers of themselves. They don't want to be perceived as wrong because we have a whole culture that is based on getting followers and how you look online. So when you're actually looking for real people, they don't want to show up. They're scared to do that. And that also means just with their worldviews as well. And they're too lazy to research.
Yes.
But yeah, people can find me Spotify, Rumble, YouTube, Mana, and that's 2 N's. Mana Daily Podcast, Spotify, Rumble, YouTube, and Patreon. If you're able, a lot of people have been bailing out from that. Again, $3 to $5 per month would be huge. But if you can't, I understand. Prayers are appreciated. If I can't keep doing this, well, I'll hit the work and we'll just call this closed. So again, I'm serious, folks. That's all supported fully by you. Thank you, gentlemen, for having me on.
Absolutely, dude. Always, please go to Brandon Kroll. It doesn't, like he said, $3 to $5. It ain't a lot. The guy literally hosts Bible studies, even if you need a little bit of help understanding, or you felt lost in a whole conversation here that we had about all this old stuff or ritualistic things are going on. The dude has Bible studies on Sunday where you could tune in and it's normal and you can hear what he's talking about that led to these things. It doesn't always have to be the conversation we're having. So I think it's valuable. Anybody boycotting anybody who just wants to get a little bit about Jesus, they need to look at themselves too. So we are the end of days best friends, folks. It's going to be the days of Noah. We might be getting to the end of days. I don't know. Nobody knows. It's a thief in the night. Brandon, thank you, man.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it. I think it's super important right now. Iran, Persia, Mithraism, Zoroastrian, all this ties into a lot of things that involve a lot of old stuff. And whether or not it matters to one thing, that's the playbook, right? They're using that for what we're doing today. And it's important that it's always pointed out, dude. So I'm your boy, Michael.
I'm Matt.
That's Matt with a girlfriend now, folks. And that's our boy, Brandon. He's always going to be back. Thanks for coming on again. Watch this episode, like, share, go to his account, folks. And we'll talk to you on the next one.
If you don't first subscribe, press your head.